stage, it's Carissa Kuchin.
Hello, hello, our Become Unshakable Challenge family. Let's wake our bodies up, stand up if you're capable, warm yourself up. It is day 2, my friends, of this beautiful challenge. Welcome, welcome. YouTube, Zoom, Facebook, hi everybody. Our VIPs, hello. Beautiful energy, that's it. Wake your bodies up. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. There's a million of you from around the globe. Oh, yes. Well, welcome back to day 2 of the Become Unshakable Challenge. And first and foremost, we want to celebrate you for being back on day 2 because that means you said you were going to do something and you actually did it. So please take both hands up and give yourself a round of applause for committing to creating the life of your dreams. Oh, yes. So we have a lot to do today. We only have 5 days with Tony. His shortest event is over 50 hours. So we're going to get right to it. Are you feeling good? Show me with your body language, VIPs. Are you feeling good? So we've got a big day. We want to first and foremost honor and congratulate and celebrate you for completing your first challenge assignment yesterday. If you've got a freaking compelling new story, put a hand up in the air, say yes. If you're on YouTube, put yes in the chat. We are able to identify the old story, step into the new. And I have to tell you, Tony was so blown away with your shares in the community group, the Facebook group. You know, this is our 4th time doing this challenge. And who here experienced a little internal resistance, maybe feeling a little bit scared to go live and post a video? It might have been your very first time doing it, and you overcame some type of hesitancy. And that's really what we have to do to be unshakable in life, is overcome our own doubt. And so your vulnerability, your openness, you let it rip inside of that Facebook group, those lives. So we want to celebrate you for that. Congratulations. It was amazing. And we have 3 incredible winners that won because you played full out, you gave your energy, you were cheering other people on in the community. So 3 people are going to be winning tickets to Tony's main flagship seminar called Unleash the Power Within. 4 full days with him. In 50 days from today, that virtual event takes place in 50 days. You know, people pay thousands of dollars to go to that, and we have 3 winners because you just showed up and went for it yesterday that I'm going to be announcing at the very last second today, and that's my ethical bribe to get you to stay all the way until the end. Not a second before you should leave because you might win. So stay put until the end. We also have an amazing group of newbies that I want to acknowledge. A small, intimate group of over 200,000 of you joined this challenge between yesterday and today. We thought we capped it out, and then it was like, holy smoke. So we want to thank you guys for sharing this with the people in your life that matter. Very likely there's a big group of you that this is your first time training with Tony, and if that was you, put first time. And you might have just fallen in love with this man, that his energy, his warmth, his connection, and his ability to serve us all to the highest good for our lives. So if after day 1 you were like, babe, you need to check this out, or your colleague or your friend, and you invited them, we just want to say thank you for helping us serve as many people as possible. It means a lot to us. So thank you. And if you are one of those people that today is your first day and you're thinking, did I miss yesterday? What do I do? Do I stay today? You're in the perfect spot. So you're right where you need to be. And the replay is up in the group for a limited period of time. And you can go check that out. But I invite you to just push everything to the side. All of us, if we have anything on our mind about business and life, set it to the side and give ourselves the gift of being fully present today. If you're up for that, raise the roof, say yes. We got a big day. Okay? So let's just kind of recap and sync up with the group. And then if it's your first time, you can hear from our group. But take your hands up like this, put them on the keyboard for me, and then put in the chat 1 word to describe yesterday. 1 word to describe how you felt about yesterday, what the day was like for you. We had amazing, impeccable, incredible, life-changing. Only the first day and it's life-changing. Next level. Beautiful, beautiful. So This chat would go for another 2 hours, but I got to cut it tight here so we can get the day started. But so many beautiful descriptions of your first day, and it was just day one. So the key message here is do not miss a minute. What Tony's doing is he's designed these 5 days to stack together. So if you miss one of the days or if you miss an hour here, you're missing out on the juice of the magic of this formula that we have. So can we all commit to play full out, be here every single minute, even if we have to hold our pee break for a second? Can we do it? All right, great. So today we're diving into identity. It's one of my favorite topics. I can't say my favorite day because every day gets better and better. But the cool thing to remember is we're going to be talking about this unshakable identity. That doesn't mean we're not afraid of anything. It means that nothing's going to get in our way. And if we tapped into that part of ourselves, the part that's always been there, what kind of life is possible for us in our business, in our relationships, in our health, in our physical bodies? There's so much incredible, life to live, and we get to experience and tap into that today. So a couple reminders, and then we're going to get started. Number one, if you're a VIP, so our amazing, beautiful, your energy's been off the charts. VIPs, your private Q&A session is at the end of the day today. For those of you that just joined yesterday and you're wondering what that is, just go to tonysvip.com and you can check it out. Get yourself in for $47. You can join us right here backstage, okay? And then my second quick reminder, and we're going to get this day started, is energy. You heard from Tony himself. If we're sitting down, if we're laying back, if we're passive, we're going to live a passive life. And I don't want a life like that. Do you want a life like that? So we're tapping in to this new level of energy to create a life far beyond what we could have ever dreamed of. So in the spirit of that, we're going to try again to bring up somebody that we know and love. His name is Brian Bradley from the Egoscue Method. And if you were with us yesterday and you guys saw, you broke our technology. There's so many of you tuning in. But we actually are able to train with him this morning. And so what we're going to do is bring up a man named Brian Bradley, who's from this modality, this method called Egoscue. It's these very simple body movements that we're going to do just for a couple minutes to just wake up our bodies. And then Tony is going to come on stage and take us on a journey. Okay? Are you ready for this? All right, stand up if you're physically capable. We're gonna just shake our body for 5 seconds, get some energy, and then we'll bring Brian up. 3, 2, 1, crank it! That's it. Yes, Carlos. Pamela. Andrina Peterson. Solmaz, beautiful energy. All right, friends, please help me welcome to the stage the one and the only Brian Bradley.
All right, guys, day two. Okay, listen, guys, can you hear me? I know yesterday all you got to see was this pretty face, but now you get my angelic voice. Oh my gosh, what a bonus. Guys, thank you so much. I was sitting there talking to myself and I couldn't believe it, but hey, you know what? I had some amazing information. So today we're just gonna get into it. I'm gonna take you for about 3 or 4 minutes here through some amazing movements to prep you for the sport of sitting. And for those of you in the VIP and for those of you that end up out of these events going, I can't wait to hook up with Tony later at other events, I'll see you there for sure. And then we go much deeper into this kind of stuff. So everybody get out of your chair. Here we go. Get out of your chair that's built by the lowest bidder. I'm going to introduce you to the Egoscue method. Here we go. So I want you to think about where you're barefoot. Let me just show you these. I wear some socks to really brighten up the day here. And I want you to think about closing your eyes and where's your body weight from left to right? Which foot do you feel is carrying most of your body weight? Where is it from front to back in each foot? Is it even? Is it one in the ball of the foot, one in the heel of the foot? Are they not even? And what we have to think about is if your physical is not even, then maybe the mental emotional is being affected by that. So we're going to really set that base of the triangle of those three things together by getting you to move more correctly. So I'm going to take you through just the balance test today. Tomorrow I may take you through some sitting, some bending over to feel where your movement's coming from, and then we're gonna go from there. So welcome to the Egoscue method, day 2 of this challenge too. So here we go. Let's get your feet dead straight ahead. Put your feet fist width apart and 5 degrees turned in, and the feet must, this is a critical point in this. They must stay in that slightly turned in 5 degrees position. That will trap the big muscle in the hip that we're trying to wake up, which we call the circuit breaker. And for those of you who want to know what that is, we'll go through it tomorrow and the next day, and we'll educate you more. And we'll accumulate all this education. So now with your feet straight, I want you to take your hands and take them from a fist and open them up to a place where you can touch the palms and fingernails together. So you can do this. Hold them just like this. And I want you to get your feet dead straight, shoulders down, shoulders back, arms up, and come with me on this ride. It's 40 circles. Here we go. Up and forward. Here we go. Good job. You can see all these words behind me. Limitless, boundless, correct and connect, challenging, commitment, pain-free. That's the entire premise of Egoscue. Remember, we're training for the sport of sitting, and we're doing this by changing your upper back position around. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Arms down, shake it out. Same thing. Now pull your shoulder blades together, bring them back up, and bring your palms up, thumbs back, and circle back 40 times just like that. Let me see what we have going on here. Oh yeah. You guys look amazing. You guys look literally amazing. Great job, great job. Get to 40. I know this isn't easy. I know it's not easy, but because we have your feet straight, your hips are trapped and you're gonna be able to sit differently in that chair that's built by the lowest bidder. I love it when families do this. Yeah. Kids, kick their butt, kids. Here we go. Okay, same position with your hands. If you move, check your foot position. Hands are here, right behind your temple. And now close your elbows together and then open them up 15 times, just like this. Let those knuckles roll. And yes, come on guys, I can see you. Get your elbows together, pulled apart, together, pulled all the way open. Open this up, get those shoulder blades moving. Come on, let's get millions of people around the world correcting this. You guys wanna live pain-free down the road, I know it. Movement is key, balance is key. Oh, that's beautiful. Now you've done 2 exercises for your upper back. Now I want you to drop your arms, shake it out, and feel, with your eyes closed, put your feet where you want them, feel the difference. Feel how much more grounded you are right now. And I'm not making this up. I can say I know you feel more grounded because I've been doing this 31 years, and I know the result of when the T-spine changes segmentally, even 10 degrees. It starts to realize that the hip is now starting to do its work. So right now, that's why you feel better standing more balanced. But now we're gonna wake up the room and really put it to work. So we're gonna do what we call the greatest abdominal exercise ever, which I didn't get to take you through yesterday. So I'm even in a more punishing mood right now. So here we go. Let's get your feet back like this, like you're gonna jog, lean forward a little bit, and your arm stays at 90 degrees. There's none of this. None of this, none of this. For those of you from Wales or central Pennsylvania, none of that. You want to be doing this. Are you ready? And you're going to sprint against your kids as fast as you can. Set, only 20 seconds. Set, go as fast as you can. Turn it on. Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it. Faster, guys. Yeah, there we go, kids. There we go, kids. Keep it going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keep that smile on your face. It'll be perfect for day 2. Get the other leg behind you. We're switching sides. Ready, set, go. Last seconds. Let's go. Turn it on. The last 20 seconds. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Guys, up this energy. Up this energy. KK and Tony require another level. Let's go. You're in day 2 of this challenge. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, Brian Bradley from Egoscue. I'll see you tomorrow. Please love day 2. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Brian Bradley. We love you. Let's give it up for this amazing man. Get some energy on the VIP screen in the YouTube chat and Zoom. Let's give him some love. It's Brian Bradley from Egoscue. Getting our bodies warmed up. Shake the building. Come on. All right, my friends, we're wasting time. It's time to get started building our unshakable identity. Please help me welcome to the basement stage, Tony Robbins!
Thank you. How are we all doing this morning, this afternoon? Wake up the room where you are. 1, 2, 3, go! Oh, I love seeing your whole family there, Edith. Great energy, Rocky. Nice, Pamela. Great, Catherine. Whoa, yes. I'll have a seat, feeling like in a great state. Great to be back with you. But just so you don't lose the energy, you know, sometimes people get up and they crank and they sit down and lose the energy. In your chair, just for 30 seconds, create more energy than when you were standing. Go for it. There you go. Nice, Andrea. Great, Gabriel. Great, Joan. Samira. Well, how are you doing this morning, this afternoon, this evening? Great to be with you all. Listen, yesterday was a beautiful day, but what was even more beautiful to me was, you know, first of all, some of the stories that were shared with us were just so touching. So thank you for those that did. But all of you went on Facebook. There was such vulnerability there. And vulnerability is, a lot of people see as weakness. You know, my experience is its strength. Because what's real is what changes your life. What's raw, what's real. And all of us, when I talk about being unshakable, I want to remind you, it doesn't mean that you don't have fear. It doesn't mean you don't get upset or don't doubt yourself. I have all those experiences. I just have a lot less of them now because I've built different muscles, emotional muscles. Like you work out enough and you got muscle there, right? It's available to you. And so no one has taught us how to train ourselves to be emotionally fit. I don't mean emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is a capability. And those are great skills to have. But you can be a smart person and do stupid things. Who's done this before? I know I have, right? Who else has done it? Make some noise if you've done it, right? So when I talk about emotional fitness, I mean training your mind and body so that when you need it, it's there. When things happen that are challenging, you can step up and handle them rather than pull back and be fearful. It doesn't mean you're not afraid. It just means you use courage. Again, remember, courage, you have no courage if you're not afraid. Courage only shows up because you're scared and you do it anyway. You find your courage. And so many of you were just so honest. And also, I just also want to thank the whole community of people. You can feel it even after a day or two here. People are becoming a community. And we've got 1.4 million people now total. It's unbelievable. 195 countries. Give it up for everybody. It's unbelievable. And literally from every country in the world, people here, and just seeing people jump on and supporting people for the vulnerability and telling what's really true. And there's so many great, you watch someone start to tell. And by the way, when we do the exercises, I'm ideally asking you to do them on video. Some of you type them, and that's okay too. But even if you type it and then looked at it and then did on video, it just makes you feel it more when you got to show up. And I know that's uncomfortable. That's the whole point of a challenge, is do things that are uncomfortable, because the more you do uncomfortable things, the easier it gets and the stronger you get. Just like lifting weights, it's uncomfortable. If you do a comfortable weight and you do 100 curls, you get nothing. But if you take a weight that you can barely do 8 reps with and you do 9 or 10, that's where all the growth comes from. So I really encourage you to do it. But whether you wrote it or whether you did the video, you'd see people, especially on the video, because you could see, and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing the story. Some of them just grabbed my heart. Some of them made me laugh. Some of them made me cry. But the part that was so beautiful is then seeing people own their new story, because it was like a complete state change. As you're telling your old story, even if you made the new story up in your mind, the old story kind of drags you down, and you could see it. How many experienced that as you talked about your old story a little bit, right? And so you got to divorce that story. And then when you went into your new story, the stories were amazing. And gosh, there's so much pain in the world because human beings, we're not taught how to be happy. We're not even taught. Our nervous system is designed to survive. You have to think about it. The brain that you and I have is about 2 million years old, roughly, and it hasn't altered a huge amount in that time. And the number one focus is survival. So our brains are always looking for what could go wrong, what could be messed up, what could cost us, what could we lose. And it used to be to protect us from a saber-toothed tiger, so we'd learn to fight or flight, run from it, or freeze and hope it didn't notice it. Those are the three patterns most people do under stress. They fight, they flight, or they freeze. And the problem is there is no saber-toothed tiger anymore. So today we get freaked out like life and death, like what do people think about us, or what do they write about us in social media, or somebody you don't even know, or do I have enough money or not? And don't get me wrong, all those are challenging things, but they get into survival if we don't learn to run our brains. Our brain's going to make you survive. It's not going to make you happy. Your job is to create the happiness. In order to do that, you have to wake up and not be on automatic pilot. And it's so easy when we go through so many challenges and traumas and disappointments and frustrations. That's the human condition. Feeling like you've been betrayed, feeling the sense of loss. That's part of being human. But what happens is for many people, they start out as a young person optimistic, and then they stack all the experiences until pretty soon they don't want to be disappointed anymore. So what they do is they build a story so that they don't get disappointed. And today we're going to take that a step deeper, because we're going to take a look at the part of the story that controls your whole life. There's a specific part that if you shift that part of your story, it changes. It'll change everything. In fact, we're going to share with you today how you create lasting change. Because I've had a lot of people say, I've lost 100 pounds, 10 pounds, 10 times, the same 10 pounds, right? Or people say to me, yeah, I'm on day 7 of, stop smoking. And I'm like, why are you counting? So you can tell me how many days you lasted before you went back, right? When you make a shift the way I'm going to show you today, it's a permanent shift. And you'll see it's true, because I'm not asking you to believe anything I'm saying. I want you to start your own experience. And you'll know it's true. But just some of the stories that were really touching, I saw one of the stories I read was this woman who, at 15, she was abducted and enslaved, and she was trafficked. And somehow she managed to get herself out of that. But by 18, she had 2 children. And by 24, she was a widow. But she found a way to change that story. That's not from something we did. She just shared all the ways she broke through. And, now she's the number 1 person in real estate in her area. And she's married to a man that's a 20-year veteran, and just this beautiful life, because she was able, give it up for her, in spite of all that, to change her story, right? It's beautiful. I was touched by, there was an African-American gentleman from Chicago that I saw there, sir, and I'm not remembering your name, but I remember the experience. He was just so authentic. He's a single father of 2 boys, and he's been in the military, and he's had this belief, I just can't provide for my boys. I can't provide the opportunities. I can't provide what they deserve. And then you just feel this shift in him when it's like, because he's got a reason. And I want to mention this to you. You'll stay stuck in your pain and your problem until you have something you value more than your pain or your problem. Remember we mentioned that yesterday? Well, the thing that he valued in this case is his boys, and you could just see the shift in him, like right there on camera. It's like, no, I am enough. I'm enough. I can make this happen. I will make this happen. And the strength in his voice and his face, you just can't fake that. So now what you got to do is condition it so it sticks around, and that's what I'm going to show you a little bit how to do today. And one more, just there's so many. Another one was a woman who was from Australia who, when she was a young girl, she was in a boating accident, and both her parents and her brother died. And so then she had what they call survivor's guilt, like I should have died. And that became her belief. I should have died too. I shouldn't be here. And then what happens when you believe something like that? It controls your whole life. You're like, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve life. I don't deserve health. I don't deserve abundance. I don't deserve relationship. And the shift in her was just spectacular. How many of you were inspired by people's other stories, not just your own being shifted there, some of us, right? So please, each day, the purpose of the challenge, again, there's no charge for it. Here's the charge. Do something. I really want to see your life change. I may never see you again. I'd love to have you an event if you want to come, but I don't have some agenda here. I just want to serve you. We're 5 days of just giving everything we can to you. We're in really rough times. The rough times are not forever. And by the way, I'll tell you something about rough times before I forget. If you study the history of the world, you will see there are patterns, there are seasons, as I mentioned the other day. There's springtime when everything seems to be easy and optimistic. There's summer when it's a bit hard and you got to push through. Then there's the reaping time, right, of autumn, where you get all the beauty. And then what follows the reaping time is winter again. And sometimes you think winter is going to be forever. When things are going good, you think it's going to go good forever. When you think it's going bad forever. So we're kind of in a winter time, meaning the overall attitudes are more fear and uncertainty, right? And it's probably going to go on for another 4, 5, 6, 7 years where that doesn't have to be your life. You have to learn how to ski or snowboard in the winter, right? Build the fire, build your business, grow. Do well in this season. All the other seasons are easy. You'll continue to dominate. So this is the season you build muscle from. That's how you get strong. But if you look at history, you see a pattern that's immutable. And that is good times create weak people. Because when there's no challenge, we don't grow. There's a generation of people right now that have been raised, and it is not their fault, and it's not all of a generation, but there's a generation of people right now that have had everything at their fingertips instantly, pretty much for free, and they don't understand. A lot of them are so unhappy. You see more suicides, more drug overdoses in this generation than any generation in history. I'm talking about combination primarily at this point of the Z generation, and I feel for them, because they haven't had the challenge and they don't realize life is demanding I become more. We're being called. If you're only doing things to meet your own needs, it's pretty easy to survive, especially in this world today. Pretty easy to distract yourself. All you got is a phone or a computer, and you're going to let hours go by scrolling stuff, right? I mean, that's the world is, but you're not going to be happy or fulfilled. That's why these people just don't have that meaning. Now, not all of them, thank God. But a huge number of them live a fearful life. If you have a different belief than I do, then you're evil. I steal away from you versus let me understand what you believe. I may disagree, but we can agree to disagree and we can still be friends. That generation has been taught something different. And again, it's not their fault. They've been conditioned. And millennial generation, many of you in this room are millennial generation, this virtual room around the world, you've had some of that too. And some of you are X generation. You're a little more pragmatic because you were raised in a totally different environment. Right? You had to fend for yourselves, figure it out. Some of you are baby boomers, and you had this great mission. So every generation is raised a certain way by your parents. Now, everyone's different individually, but collectively, if you study history, there's a book you might want to read. It's called Generations. When I was working with President Clinton, I left his office. This is how different the world is today, of coaching him, and I went across to Speaker Gingrich, who was Republican, Democrat and Republican, the head of the House and the President of the United States. I coached them both on the same day. And today, somebody would shoot you in the head if you talk to the other side. It's just so ridiculous, right? And what was interesting is on both their desks was this book, Generations. And Clinton told me it was one of the best books he read. It's the story of 500 years of Anglo-American history. And it shows how generations are raised. Not you. You might be different than your generation. You probably are. But how that affects the entire way we respond to challenges, and it affects history. And how then that generation reacts differently in the way they raise their kids. And so it's fascinating. So here's the pattern I want you to know. Good times create weak people because we're not challenged. Weak people create bad times. But here's the good news. Bad times create strong people. The greatest generation in American history, we call them the Great Generation or the greatest generations, that World War II generation, but they were treated like and they were seen like Z generation to older people or millennials, young millennials, because it was about, what they wanted, and they wanted things on their terms, and what am I getting? That was the perception, and not enough work ethic, and they all want everything their way, and they're not here to contribute. They call it contribution, but it's the stuff that's easy, right? It's positioning. And if you were born in 1910, just to give you an idea, the people born in 1910, those children grew up in their first 20 years with unbelievable abundance. They saw us win World War I. They saw us turn around so much. All this technology, radio and television and cars. And they dreamed of parties. They were called flappers. They were weak. They were looked down on. But guess what? When they turned 19 and thought they're going to have a car and party, it was 1929, and the whole world was going through the floor. So their story was shaped by the history they're in. And they had to fight through watching people jumping out of buildings. They lived in the Midwest, the Dust Bowl, people in bread lines. And they made it through 10 years of the Depression, only to turn 29 in 1939 when Hitler invades, Poland and Czechoslovakia and starts bombing London. And none of us were alive at that time, but the ones that were would tell you it looked like the world was going to end. And they went and fought the war, and they came back, and they became strong. So bad times create strong people. And here's the final chapter: strong people create great times. That generation came back and changed this country. They created the late 40s, 50s, and early 60s before Kennedy was shot. And then history changes again. So I want you to know that a lot of you have had bad times. Me too. I don't waste time telling everybody all of them. I could bore you with hours of all the suffering that I've gone through, but I don't spend any time there, because spend time there would just make me weaker. It's where I've really grown is from those times. And all the stories that you saw, if you read them, the toughest stories, it's like if you watch a movie, the quality of the hero is completely shaped by how strong the villain is. If I went way back in history and you think of seeing Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter and Jodie Foster, and he's so brilliant, he's so intense. That's what makes her such a great hero, because she has to deal with this crazy, intense, brilliant, powerful, all-powerful being. You become more. So one thing that I've tried to do with the story of my life is it's gotten better and better. It takes more to knock me off at this stage because I built more muscle, right? But I look, when something happens, if it starts to get me, I go, a worthy opponent. We all need a worthy opponent. Sometimes the opponent's inside you, conflict in you, you know what I mean? Or sometimes it seems like it's an outside person. Sometimes it's an intimate. But if something's getting you, there's something in you that needs to grow. And that's what the story really provides. So I just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for playing full out. Thank you for giving your all. Thank you for sharing, because you're inspiring other people and you're inspiring yourself. Give a hand to everybody that's participating, making this happen so far. So let's do just a 2-second review at the highest level, 30,000 feet. So yesterday, we talked about a lot of things, but one of the things we talked about was this idea of the most basic principle of change is energy. And I know it sounds so basic and fundamental, but it's so important, because when you realize it intellectually, it doesn't do anything. But when you realize it physically, it changes everything. Meaning, if there's a pattern in you, if there's a habit, if that habit could be an emotional habit, it could be a pattern of thinking. I'm not enough. I can't make this happen. Or, I don't know why this happened to me. Or, this person did this to me. Instead of finding the good in it, that all happens at low levels of energy. When you're at a higher level of energy, it's like we said, like if you're totally in love, everything is great, right? That's a real high frequency of energy. So if you're going to dislodge an old pattern, you're going to need to do it with more energy. And that's why if you see me in a normal seminar, we're going 12 hours a day, but it doesn't feel like 12 hours. Why? Because a minute feels like eternity. Like if I said to you, how long is a long time? Well, a minute feels like eternity if you're not having a good time or if you're in pain. Right? But hours go by and it feels like minutes if you're engaged and involved. And one of the things we do is use your body to generate that energy. So even though we're in this kind of calm environment here, it's not the whole studio, and I'm sitting more, I want you to remember that if you're not getting the result you want, it's time to increase your energy. And the way to do that is through movement and sound. The way you move, the way you breathe, the way you use your voice, all that can instantly change the energy in your body, regardless of how much sleep you have or don't have, or how much you've eaten or not eaten. That is the force that changes you. And you know it. How many have had an experience where something stimulated you, you were so exhausted and tired, and boom, you're up all night? Who knows what I'm talking about here? Make some noise if you have that experience, right? So we want to consciously use that same tool within ourselves. If there's something you want to change, we've got to bring more energy to it. We also talked about yesterday this whole idea of not getting stuck in what I call the tyranny of how. Remember we said, how do you create a breakthrough? How do we get to that moment where everything changes? And by the way, we had some great examples yesterday. I wrote down Christina and Jason. Remember them yesterday? Christina with her child after 3.5 years. But how many of you are moved by her story? Incredible story, right? And Jason too, leaving his family, being a victim and coming back a victor and turning things around and taking responsibility. She's saying that, the real pain would be to never had my child and have those 3.5 years of beauty. And now she's vesting herself in a child she's adopted, and you could feel her sincere joy. You can't fake that. So we can change everything in our lives with enough energy. We can change everything in our lives if we don't get stuck on the how. And so that's why we learn strategy, story, state, which really is state first if you want to change your life. If you want to make progress, you got to change your state. Then you absolutely need a better story that's going to empower you. And then you'll find the strategy, or you'll make up a strategy to make it work. Otherwise, if you start with strategy and you don't believe because you've never done it before, you go, how do I do this? You don't even know how. You got to first get the first pieces in place, and you'll figure out the how. And then yesterday, how many found value in finding different parts of yourself if you got stuck that have different answers? The archetypes we did yesterday. Did you enjoy that? Good, good, good. So today, all the things we talked about yesterday, your story is a combination of your beliefs. And your beliefs shape everything. But there's one specific kind of belief that's most important. Like, what is most important to you, what you believe is most important to you, is what you value. Your values shape your life. So there's many different types of beliefs. But today I want to share with you the belief that controls everything in your life. It controls how you think, how you feel, what you do, what you experience, what you won't do. And that is what we call your identity. Your identity. Now, what is identity? We all have a way of defining ourselves. Remember when you did your story and I said, what role were you playing in this story? Something was I was being a victim, now I'm becoming a victor. That's a radical change, right? Are you the person that's, are you the one trying to please all the time? Are you the overachiever, right? Are you the pawn? Are you the chess piece or the chess player? Whatever your metaphors are for life shape you. So I want you to write down a little phrase, first of all. Write down beliefs create and beliefs destroy. Please jot it down right in front of you in big letters that stands out for you. Every belief you have either creates or destroys. And the problem is most of us are not conscious of the beliefs that we have. And Unleash Power Within, we do a 4-hour process where we find the 3 most limiting beliefs of your life and literally annihilate them. When I say annihilate them, get them out of your body and then replace them with things. And I don't tell you what to do. You pick them. They're different for everybody. But then replace them with new beliefs that change you, because the only thing stopping you usually is an inner conflict. If you got enough energy, if you know what you want and you got the right tools, the problem is you want to sleep to noon and be a billionaire. That's a conflict, right? You want everybody to be happy and tell the truth. That's a conflict, right? Because not everybody's going to be happy when you tell the truth. And so those conflicts cause us to take 2 steps forwards and 3 steps back. I'm going to be totally successful, but I don't want anybody ever judge me. Well, in the world we're in today, people love to judge anybody for any reason, right? It's absurd. In fact, if I ask you a question, I want to know your answer, and I want you to put it in the chat for me. What do you think most people would rather be today? Happy or outraged? Which one do you think most people would focus on, spend more time in today? Happy or outraged? Outraged, 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 happy, outraged, 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 happy, outraged, outraged, out. Yeah, most people rather be outraged, because when you're outraged, you feel some energy in your body. When you're outraged, you feel significant, but it doesn't feed your soul. So your beliefs, whatever they are, either make you outraged or make you happy. And your beliefs, what is a belief, by the way? Let's put down a definition for you, because we keep using it like we know what it is. Write down, if you would, a belief is nothing but a sense of absolute certainty. A belief is nothing but a feeling of absolute certainty about what something means. When you're absolutely certain about what something means, you have a belief. You might believe you're sexy, or you might believe you're not sexy. You might believe you're really smart. You might feel, I'm not that smart. You might believe you're worthy or not worthy, but all you're really saying is, I feel certain about this. Can I tell you the good news? All feelings can be changed in a moment by a radical change in your focus, in your language, and in the way you use your body. You can be from I'm uncertain to certain and change it literally that fast when you know how to do it with your body. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. So everything is controlled by your beliefs. So let's take a sample. Let's say if you're a pawn, then what's life like? You are at the effect of everything. You're the victim, right? What if you think, like, if I asked you right now, what is life? What's life? Give me your definition of life. The first thing that pops in your mind, put it in the chat just for a second if you don't mind. I'd love to see what you say. Just don't try to make it perfect. Just first gut response. What is life? What is life? Okay, I'm seeing here, there's a little delay. Okay, there we go. So I'm getting all kinds of different metaphors. So let me offer you a few here. And then you tell me, why don't you put this in the chat instead? It'll be even easier. If life, some people say to me, life is a battle. And that's their belief. Well, if you believe life is a battle, that affects everything in your life. Is that going to affect your relationships and the way you deal with relationships, intimate relationships, your kids, your work, your coworkers? Absolutely. When you believe life's a battle, tell me what life's like. Put it, if you would, put it right now in the chat so I can see. If life's a battle, what's life like? Okay, good. It's a war. Somebody wins and somebody loses. It's a struggle. It's horrible. It's hard. You get hurt. Okay? It's exhausting. It's painful. Good. It's total stress. Okay, so if you have that metaphor, and by the way, a lot of people develop beliefs without even realizing. You get around somebody you care about, and gradually, maybe you like somebody's music in the rock and roll days, and you love their music, and they're constantly getting high on heroin. You're like, oh man, if I had heroin, I'd be a great musician too, right? And for some reason, it doesn't work out that way for you, right? But people dress like that person, don't they? And they take on their beliefs sometimes. I remember years and years ago, I played when I was a young guy. I used to play poker with these guys. And one of my buddies, three of my buddies were older and they were married. And one of my buddies used to always say, oh, I got to go, guys, man. I got to go. I got to get back to the old ball and chain. And that's what he called his wife. Right? Can you imagine how he's going to interact with her when that's his belief? That's the words he uses. Those words affect the biochemistry in you. They affect the way you think, feel, and act. They're a belief. Your words create beliefs. And so I remember one day when one of the other guys who really loves his wife always talked about it on the highest levels, go, yeah, I got to get back to my ball and chain too. And I remember thinking at the time, he's infecting him. Because after a while, you can pick up things you don't even notice. How many know what I'm talking about here? How many are aware of this, right? My fourth father, Jim Robbins, I remember he'd come home and the door would slam and we'd all pause to hear because he had this weird thing he did. He'd come home, close the door. If it was a good day, he'd go, monkey gurus. I still don't know what the hell that means. But we knew he was in a great state and we all came around. But if he wasn't in a monkey guru state, and when I had my first kids, my first boy I adopted, I was like, I came home and shortly thereafter I did, hey, monkey gurus. I don't know, where the hell does that shit come from, right? So it starts to affect you even when you don't know it. So, but what if life, if it's not a battle, what if life is a test? Tell me what life's like. Type it in real quick. If you believe life is a test, then what's it like? It's a challenge. It's going to be painful because I'm not good at tests. Okay, that's good. It's going to be stressful. Someone else is grading me. I'm being judged. Interesting, right? You can pass or fail. Right? Someone else says it's a nice opportunity. So it changes how you look at life. What if you thought life was sacred? Then what's life? Put it down in the notes there. What's life if it's sacred? And life is what? Special. It's precious. It's a blessing. It's cherished. It's open. It's peaceful. It's a privilege. It's magnificent. By the way, do you feel a different energy when you say, life is a gift? What if life's a gift? What's life like? What would you say if life's a gift? Oh, it could be a surprise. It could be fun. It's beautiful. I love gifts. I love to give gifts. It's treasured. What if life is a dance? What's life like if it's a dance? Oh, it's exciting. It's fun. I do it with others. You're not alone. You can do it alone or with others. It's joyous. It's playful, sexy, whimsical, an adventure. So let me ask you a question. Which one is right? Is life a battle? Is it a test? Right? Is it, a dance? Is it a party? Is it sacred? And many of you say it's all those things, and that would be true, except that's not how your brain works. Life is whatever you've decided to believe about it. Because once you think life's a battle, you will find brown everywhere, even if it's beige, even if it's a different color. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say aye. Say aye. So we have to be so conscious about our beliefs because they literally change our life. Remember I said yesterday, we don't experience life. We experience the life we focus on. How many of you have something in your life right now that if you focused on it, you could feel really, really grateful? How many got something you could feel really grateful for or someone you could feel grateful for? Yeah? How many of you got shit that you could be pissed off or stressed about if you wanted to be by focusing on it as well? Right? So we don't experience life, we experience what life we focus on, and our habits are focused or controlled by our beliefs, and now let's go a step deeper. But there's one belief that's more powerful than all the rest, and it is your identity. Because once you define yourself, I want you to write this down. We're going to put it on the screen as well. This is so important. When I learned this about human beings, I started being able to help people I could never help before and create lasting change. Because lasting change only happens when you change or improve your identity. You might want to jot that down. Lasting change it requires a change or an upgrade of your identity. It doesn't necessarily have to be a change. It might just be an upgrade. It might be an improvement. So what is the power of identity? Let's write this on the screen for you. Here's what identity is. Write down this. Identity is the most powerful force, put it on the screen for everybody, that influences every thought, feeling, and emotion in your life. Because we need to be consistent with it. Guys, can you throw it up on the screen, please? The strongest force, write it down in your notes, the strongest force in anybody's personality, in a human personality, is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. That's why identity is so powerful. I'll say it again, jot it down. The strongest force in your personality, in mine, any human's personality, is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. Now, what the heck does that mean? It means that if you define yourself as a person, well, I'll give you an example. I'm a procrastinator. If you say, I'm a procrastinator enough, let's say you had a goal, you had a dream, and you're going to go for it, and then the last minute, you get stressed, your fear of failing, and you don't do it. You put it off. People put things off because it's either not that important, they don't want it that bad, or they associate negative feelings to it, right? So you put it off because you're a little fearful or uncertain. And then you go, no, I got to do this. And you get yourself riled up, going to do it. And the last minute, you don't follow through again. After 3 or 4 times of this, your brain's going to go, I don't want to feel disappointed all the time. So it's going to change your identity, or you go, I'm a procrastinator. Now that you're a procrastinator, you will procrastinate because who you are. You need to stay consistent with who you are. You won't get your dreams or goals, but you will have certainty that life will not be that up and down because you won't have the disappointments. How many understand what I'm talking about here? If it makes sense, make some noise so I know you're getting it. So once we define ourselves a certain way, it controls and shapes what we do and what we won't do. And by the way, write that down. How we know who we are is by who we are and who we're not. Some of you, like, for example, if we start getting up and jumping around and clapping, going, I'm not one of those, right? You know? I wasn't either, but I learned to be one of those so I could use my nervous system and be in charge, right? Because otherwise there's not enough nerve energy in your body to follow through. So, but that's how we do things. I'm not one of those. I'll give you an example. Who here has ever smoked cigarettes or cigars or something for a long period of time, struggled, but you finally quit and you've not gone back? Who's done this? You smoked cigarettes, doesn't anymore. Make some noise if you did that. Fantastic. Congratulations. So if I came to you now, the person that doesn't smoke, hasn't smoked in 5 or 10 years, and I said, hey, would you like a cigarette? Would you say, what brand is it? No, what would you say? Tell me what you'd say. You'd say, put it in the chat, what would you say? So I know. That's right. What would you say? I'm not a smoker. I'm not one of those. That's why you don't smoke anymore. See, when people say I'm on day 7 of stopping smoking, I know they're going to go back. They're counting the days because they haven't shifted their identity yet. So they're trying to build up and say, you know, I lasted longer this time. How many understand what I'm talking about here? If this makes sense, make a little noise so I know I'm getting through to you. Thank you. I just want to know because I'm watching your faces, but I can't see all of you, right? So I'm just seeing in the comments as well. So I get to a little bit of feedback there. I just want to make sure I'm reaching you on this because it's so important, okay? So when you change identity, it's not hard to have your behavior change. If you become a health nut, I'm making it up, you're, a fitness competitor, you're a person that just won't settle for less than you can be or do, those identity changes are going to change whether or not, for example, you drink alcohol to excess or not, or at all. It'll shift it and won't even be difficult if the identity change is strong enough. So changing identity controls how we think, how we feel, what we're willing to do, what we're not willing to do. And here's the challenge. When did you come up with your identity, your current definition of yourself that you're needing to stay consistent with? Probably wasn't in the last 6 months. Most people, that definition themselves came from 10, 20, 30 years ago. In the people's stories that I read, So many of you, your old story is based on identity as something happened when you were 15 or 20 or 25 or 30, and now you've stacked all that to today, so you think that's who you are, as opposed to that's what I experienced, and now who I am is more than I experienced. How many of you somewhere in your soul know there's an immutable part of you that's more than anything that could ever happen to you? How many feel that? Make some noise if you know that's true, strong. That's like identity of soul. Sometimes we get caught up in the identity of the mind, and the mind has its limitations. The mind, by the way, will never make you happy. I've learned to use my mind as a tool, and I'm proud of my mind. It's a good mind. I develop it. I reward it. But I direct my mind, because otherwise your mind will direct you. And your mind will never make you happy, by the way. It will figure things out. It'll do strategies. But it won't even allow you to enjoy an apple, because it'll go, is it organic or not? It's just, that's what the mind does. It divides, it separates. But the soul and spirit, the heart of you, that deeper identity is where all the joy and happiness and progress can make. So you are not who you've been as long as you stop accepting that as your definition of yourself. Is this making sense? So if we think about it from the perspective of like, okay, if I want to make a shift, let's think of it as a metaphor. If right now in your room, wherever you're staying, you have air conditioning. And let's say we set the air conditioning at, say, 71 degrees, okay? And that 71 degrees represents your comfort zone, what makes you comfortable, all right? Now, let's take that beyond just physical comfort. Let's make that a metaphor. 71 degrees is the metaphor for how much love you're comfortable giving and receiving without you going, oh, this feels a little scary, right? Or let's say 71 degrees is not your goal financially, but it's where you live financially. It's like your comfort zone. It's like, I want more, but I'm used to this, right? So I set it at, we'll use 68 degrees. Somebody's got a little visual for me they can throw up. Okay, good. So let's say 68 degrees is that metaphor, right? So at 68 degrees, we're going to be in a position where this is what life feels like. And let's say 68 degrees is like how much success you have in your life. 68 degrees is not where you want to be for your body. It's not your goals. It's where you live. It's where you always come back to. Even if you lose weight, you come back to that 68 degrees. Who knows what I'm talking about here? If it makes sense, again, let hear a little noise from you out there. Thank you. So now, what happens if you have this identity of being a 68 degreer, even though you want more? You don't usually get more because this is who I am. If you get more, it's temporary and you come back. Who's experienced this in your own life so you know what I'm talking about here, all right? But what happens if all of a sudden the temperature in your life drops down to a level you really don't like that's not consistent with your identity? You lose a bunch of money. You don't do as well at work. Your relationship starts breaking down. Your kids start talking back. You're getting fatter. Something like, and you find yourself at 63, 62, 59, 58 degrees. What's going to happen if you got that heater air conditioner in there? It's going to go, hey, you're a 68 degree. What are you doing here at 58? And you're going to feel pressure. The heaters are going to kick on and drive you to get yourself back up to where you need to be. How many of you have ever been in a situation where it got bad enough that finally your brain went, no more, and you kick back up to your identity? How many have done this before here? Say aye. Okay, here's what people don't realize. It happens on the upside too. What if you're in business, you're in life, you're in your career, you're in whatever, and things get better than you expect? And your relationship, you fall in love with somebody, and it seems so good, and it gets better and better, and it goes 68, 78, 88. Or you're in business for yourself, or you're in sales or whatever, and your sales go up, or your business grows and grows, and you're doing better and better financially. Or you finally lose weight, and you're getting better and better, and it's like you've never been here before, and then all of a sudden, here you are, you're at 98, you're not 68, and there's something in your brain goes, hey, what the hell are you doing up here? You're not a 98 degree here, you're a 68 degree here. And then what happens? The heaters stop. You lose your drive. Now you start shopping instead of selling. Right now, you do a bunch of stupid stuff instead of run your business. Right now, you go, well, I'm a 98 degreer now. I can have some cookies for God's sakes, right? And then it leads to a whole thing of Haagen-Dazs, right? And then if the heat of the drive is no longer there to grow, on top of it, air conditioners will kick in to bring you right back down, and you'll start to sabotage till you get back to not bad necessarily, but not what you're truly capable of. It's what you've gotten used to your identity. How many of you experienced this on both pendulums, up and down? How many experienced this? Make some noise if you experienced both there. So if you think about this, if you want to change your life, you have to expand your identity. Does that make sense? You got to be able to create that I'm a 98 degree. And some of you started to do that with your story last night. But we can do it even more powerfully if we understand a couple principles that I'm going to give you today, and we're going to practice today. They're really fun and easy. But it's just understanding that power. Let me give you a metaphor. Lance Armstrong is kind of a loaded name now because one of the greatest athletes of the generation, but he also doped up, right? Used these drugs. But, you know, that was years ago. He's changed. I know Lance. I've met him. He's a great guy. But why? Why did he do that? Well, he also, besides winning more Tour de France's than anybody in history and doping, and unfortunately a bunch of his contemporaries, competitors were doping. That was his rationalization as well. But it was against the rules. But he broke the rules. Why? Because his identity is, I always find the way to victory. I always find the way to victory. And you know what? It saved his life. Because if you remember, Lance Armstrong was diagnosed with cancer. One day he goes in and the doc says, you're terminal. You have cancer in your lungs, you have cancer in your brain, and you have cancer in your testicles, which is really an uncomfortable place if you ride a bike for a living on top of it, right? And Lance, most people, someone says you're terminal, most people start arranging their affairs, they're nervous, their energy drops through the floor, they start to die in that moment because they believe that. But Lance had this core belief, identity. I always find the way. He goes, no, I'm not dying. I don't care what they say. There's got to be a solution. He started doing everything he could possibly do, and most of you know he cured himself of cancer. So it worked there. He broke all the rules there. He was rewarded for it. But in society, obviously, there's rules in the sport, and he broke those, and it cost him a bit of his identity, at least as an athlete. But understand, that's how powerful identity is. Identity can change whether you make it from cancer or not. And by the way, I read some stories of people who had cancer and beat it. And one woman was describing how they were giving these drugs, and she said, I felt so terrible. I was breaking down. I stopped doing the drugs, and I'm feeling stronger and healthier. And you can see I got all my hair, and I'm better than I've ever been. Right? It was pretty beautiful. Yeah, give it up for the people that make choices for themselves, right? By the way, I'm not suggesting don't listen to your doctor, but I am saying inform yourself and always get a second opinion or third. You know, I wrote this book, Life Force. If you didn't pick it up, I hope you will. I don't care about, I give all the money away from it. It feeds people. But I spent, 3 years interviewing 150 of the top Nobel laureate scientists, regeneration doctors. And one of the things we found was like at Johns Hopkins, they tell everybody you got to get a second opinion because 84% of the time when they did their studies, and I put the study in the book so you can look it up, 84% of the time, the second opinion was different than the first. I mean, oh my God. So you've got to get multiple opinions because humans are humans. No matter how smart we are, doctor, lawyer, person, you got to get their coaching, but you got to decide what's right for you. But my larger point is really simple. You got to say, what does my identity need to be to have the quality of life that I really want? I mean, that's a really interesting question to ask yourself. If you really want to shift your life, if you want to make it something beyond anything you've done before, you might want to say, okay, where am I limited? Where am I not getting what I want? And I'll give you an example emotionally. We have so much depression right now since the time of COVID, people being trapped in their homes for so long. And so interestingly enough, you interview people and you see what's going on in their heads, and you see that depression for many of them has become an identity. So here's the question. How many of you have ever felt depressed? Raise your hand if you ever felt depressed. If you're in the chat box, give me a thumbs up if you ever felt depressed, right? Almost, if you never felt depressed, you're probably lying to yourself. We've all felt depressed at times. But is there a difference between feeling depressed and being a depressed person? Oh, yes. See, I could feel depressed, but if I became a depressed person, then I'm going to be depressed all the time because I need to stay consistent with my definition of myself. I'll give you an example. Do you think clinically depressed people ever have happy moments? Of course they do. But if you catch them when they go, I'm not really happy, it just looked like I was happy. Even if your identity is a negative one, you will feel the demand in your nervous system to stay consistent with that definition of yourself. So it is the controlling force for lasting change. And by the way, how many of you made a change in your life that you struggled with for years, and then you made the change and it's been a lasting change? And as you think about it now, how many of you can see that you actually shifted your identity in the process? That's why it was a lasting change. Raise your hand if you can see that, perhaps. I'm curious to see. So it's important because it affects everything in your entire life. It also doesn't just affect you, my friends. It affects every relationship you have. Because let's say you have somebody who's you consider a dear friend, okay? And here's this beautiful soul. You think they're a beautiful soul. They got a big heart. They're my dear friend. They give their shirt off their back. And that dear friend of yours, that's your identity for them. You're a dear friend. They're loving. They're sincere. They're special. They're giving. And that dear friend treats you like crap. I mean, as mean as hell to you. You'll be shocked. You'd be hurt. But if this goes on and then you have to go to a meeting or you have to get on a phone call, what will you do in your head about your friend? You'll go, they're probably having a bad what? Day. How many of you have had a day when you wish somebody rationalized your behavior and said, hope you're having a bad day, right? Okay. But if there's somebody that you think, let's say you meet somebody you think they're a manipulator, they're a liar, they don't care about anybody, they just want to make money, they take anything from somebody else. They're a manipulator, liar, they're just an evil person. And they don't treat you bad. No. They treat you real nice. What's going to be the first thought in your head, my friends? Put it in the chat. What's the first thought? This mean person starts treating you real nice. What's the first thought? That's right. What do they want? What do they want? So, by the way, they may not be a bad person. That's just your belief about them. So write this down. All my relationships are controlled by the identity I relate to those people. All of my relationships are controlled by the identity I relate to those people. Because the identity controls how you interact. Does that make sense? And you can have identity not just for one person, but for a group of people. If you believe that men are jerks and assholes and they only want one thing, you're going to look for brown and you're going to find plenty of brown. It's not hard. There's beige men out there. There's pink men out there, there's blue men out there, there's green men out there, but you're going to find the brown. How many know what I'm talking about? And if you think women are manipulators and they try to take control of your whole life and they try to take over everything, they don't really give a damn about you, they want what they want, then all your relationships with women are going to be terrible. If I meet Susan here, I don't even get a chance to meet Susan because I've already got a definition. But what if your belief is that women are the greatest gift God ever gave because none of us would be on this planet without them, without their courage, without their willing to risk their life to have us come through them for 9 months? They are the gift of the earth. Let's give it up for ladies, by the way. Would that change the way you interact with Susan? Yes or no? Completely. It'll affect all your relationships with women. That's actually what I believe about women, by the way. So the experience of your life is controlled by identity. From your friendships to the people you consider to be not on your side. Like some people's stories like nobody loves me or nobody respects me or people get so angry with me. Or I grew up and I feel this way because my parents always talked me down. That's not why you feel this way. Someone can tell your whole life you're worthless, you're a piece of crap, and something inside your head says, I'm going to show you. Who knows what I'm talking about? And you don't accept that label for yourself. And by the way, are there people out there that are beautiful inside and out, sexy, beautiful, exterior, beautiful, spiritual, emotional, interior, but don't think they are? All the time. And why is it? Their parents told them their whole life, you're beautiful. Other people told them you're sensual, you're beautiful, you're intelligent, you're sexy, you're spiritual. But see, what people say isn't interesting. You only remember the parts that you want to remember to maintain your identity. They said other things too, but you don't remember them. And by the way, the only way you get identity really within yourself, like, the word self-esteem, I hate that word. It's so overused and abused. And people think we're supposed to just talk to our kids a certain way all the time and praise them for everything. If you think that, you should read Dr. Dweck's work from Stanford. She's done the most extensive work on how parents for the last generation have told their kids they're perfect, you deserve everything, you're beautiful, and it is the worst thing you can do to them. Because then they wake up and they believe all that shit you've told them their whole life, and they go in the real world, and the real world doesn't respond to them like they're perfect and they're this and they're that. And so they retreat back to the world of social media and where they can make shit up and interact the way they want to. That's a pretty big difference. Now, what you want to praise your kids for is effort. That's what I do with my daughters, with my sons, with all of them. It's like the effort, because if they keep efforting, if they're rewarded for effort, they're going to break through. They're going to eventually get wherever they want. But if you try to make them that they're perfect to start with, and they think so, and then they realize they're not, they're going to be scared. So we affect the identity of our children to some extent, but ultimately we all have a choice. So if you want to have an extraordinary quality of life, you're going to have to probably upgrade your identity, because you maybe have a great identity right now, but how many like to have an even greater one so you perform higher, allow yourself, enjoy more, experience more? So in order to do that, maybe it'll be helpful for you to know how we start to create our identity. And here's how it works. Most people judge who they are by what they do. Jot it down. Most of us develop our identity of who we are by what we do. But the problem with that theory is, when people, get in lousy states of mind, frustration, sad, doubt, self-doubt, worry, beating themselves up, people do stupid things. And if you do stupid things, like I said, can smart people do stupid things? Of course. But if you do a bunch of stupid things, after a while you go, I'm not smart, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not whatever. You're judging by your behavior. But you're at Earth School, baby. You're still a human. You're still figuring out who you are, and you're judging too soon. So it's like you got to look at it a little differently. If you're, if the way I started changing my identity is making myself do things that I said I couldn't do or I wouldn't do. Yeah, I met this man, Jim Rohn, this personal development speaker. How many of you have ever heard of Jim Rohn, by the way? I'm curious. He's a beautiful man. And at one point, I was telling him all the challenges of my life, and he said, Tony, you need a new philosophy. He said, I can give you strategies, and you'll probably get your own strategies. He was more of a philosopher. He goes, but your philosophy is basically your beliefs. It determines if you're happy or not, what you do and won't do. And he said, I learned a philosophy years ago that I think will be helpful for you. He said, here's the philosophy I learned. It's the philosophy of stretching. Jot it down, the philosophy of stretching. I said, well, what is it? He said, it's this new belief you want to develop in yourself that says, if I say I can't do something, then I must. If I can't, then I must. I said, well, does that mean if I can't jump off a cliff, then I must? He said, don't be stupid, right? Don't be stupid. He said, if there's something that you're saying I can't do because I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't have the background, I don't have the education, but if you did it, you'd be a better human, a better father, a better husband, a better friend, a better spirit, a better soul, a better you, then you must get yourself to do it and not hesitate. Many of you know one of my seminars we do a fire walk at, and when we do the virtual one, we do wood breaking. We send you the wood, and we teach you what normally people spend a year to do, but we use the wood as a limitation. We put what's limiting you and decide what you're going to become, and you break through it. And we do it with kids, too. It's really fun. And so, but when you do these experiences, like fire walking, I used to do skydiving as my seminar, but, once you had 10,000 people, it's hard to get 10 or 20,000 people in the sky in the middle of the night over L.A., right? But the point is, I made myself do things that I said I couldn't do, I wouldn't do. I just immediately said, if I can't, then I must. And after doing enough of those, I saw I was a different person than I thought I was. How many follow this? It's so simple. How many get it? Does this make sense? And the secret is momentum. Like we do a fire walk and we get people prepared and then they'll come up there and all night they've been prepared and they've gone through different emotions, and now they're in front of 2,000 degree burning hot coals and you feel it. And a lot of people went from yes, yes, yes to holy shit, I can't do this, I can't do it, right? Their whole nervous system changes. But you can change that fast. And so I have them do something quite physical I teach them to do that changes their state immediately, and then yes, 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 and they go a second later. And after you go, like if you're a salesman, after firewalking, cold calling is not a problem, right? If you're in business, you're in a relationship. Because when your brain goes, if I can get myself to do that, then what else can I get myself to do? So the most powerful way to shift your identity is to put yourself in new states. See how it all comes together? If you put yourself in a peak state of energy and focus, you're going to do things differently that you'll never do at a low energy. And at the high energy state, you'll start developing a new identity. That's why it's so important to develop things you do every day to put yourself in that strong state. Mentally, remember, and also physically. Now, again, I'm going to give you a little formula for that in a second here. But let me give you an example of how people's identity can be manipulated. And so you understand the power of this. During the Korean War, more Americans collaborated with the enemy than any war in American history. It was insane. And no one could figure out how it happened until afterwards. And what they found out was that the North Koreans worked with the Chinese government at that time, and the Chinese government was against the U.S., and they taught them some simple principles. And the principle was, if you use force, if you use physical abuse to break someone down, you may in fact get them to give you information, but they will not change their identity, and they'll still scheme, they'll still be against you. But if you use no force whatsoever, but you just wear someone down gently with warmth, and they had a very special technique. Here's what will happen. Here's what they do. Instead of bringing you in a room and just beating you, because when they ask you questions, you are all trained, if you're a soldier, only give your name, rank, and serial number, nothing else. And the Geneva Convention says you don't have to give anything else. But of course, you know, when you're in a concentration camp on enemy lines, they don't care what the Geneva Convention says. And so guess what? These guys didn't beat you so that at the end you could still say, well, I gave the information, but I had to, or I was going to die. They didn't do that. They put you in a room for 18 hours of talk. And they'd just talk with you. And they'd be warm to you. They wouldn't give you a big gift, because then you could say, oh, they gave me this food that I desperately need. They gave you nothing. They might give you a cigarette. But they'd talk to you. And they'd say, we just want to understand. Like, we're not invading your country. Why are you here bombing ours? And how can you, as a person, I'm sure you're a caring person, come and shoot people in their own homeland that you don't even know? You don't even understand who we are. And the person's like, but this goes on. And then they ask him questions and say, can't you see that in your country there are people that are unemployed, that have no money? But here in a communist country, everyone has a job. They leave out that they get 50 cents a day, but they have a job, right? Right? And I said, you know, it's true. I mean, can't you? And after 17, 18, 19, 20 hours of exhaustion, the brain's gone, and they'd say, can't you just admit the truth? And finally, the person's fine. Okay, we do have unemployed people, and you don't. Okay, I can see that. And they say, well, okay, write that down. And they get them to write it down because they're so exhausted. And can't you see? And they build this story till by the end, they had a couple paragraphs that basically thrashed America indirectly and was pro-communism. And they said, well, thank you for your honesty and your truth. And then no abuse, nothing else, and no reward. They'd send you finally back the reward. You got to go sleep. But then what they would do is they get on the speaker system with all the prisoners could hear, and they would read your essay. And the worst part is people like come to you and go, did you say that? Did you do that? Well, did they beat you? Well, no, but did they give you, no, but, well, why'd you do it? Because it's true. And in that moment, their identity changed. In that moment, they would work with the enemy from then on. Because they'd go, it's true, there's no unemployment here, there's this, there's that. So they got them to do something outside their character enough, and they got the world to reinforce them to be that way, and they shifted. So I want you to get, there's no more powerful force on earth than your identity. If you want lasting change, this is what we got to change. How many get it? Make some noise if I know you got it out there. Come on, let me hear you out there. Make some noise, make some energy. Come on. Some of you may say, okay, Tony, how would I shift my identity? Well, I'll tell you how I created this Tony Robbins guy. He's me, but I augmented these parts of myself. You know, I wasn't outgoing. I wasn't driven. I always loved people. That's been my nature for as long as I can remember. I was like, I'd go to the grocery store because my mom was kind of trapped in the house because of her use of drugs and so forth. So when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I'd go on my bike to the grocery store every day to get the groceries. And I became friends with all the people there. On Easter, I'd make cookies and shit and give them to people and write Christmas cards. And I was just that kind of person. But I wasn't driven. I wasn't focused. I certainly wasn't someone who was going to shake the building with my energy. But I started reading. I started feeding my mind. And I started reading autobiographies. And the great thing about an autobiography, it's written by the author, and they're great men and women, is as you read the words that are written on the page, those are their thoughts. You actually begin to think like them. And then I started picking up books. I read this book called The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol, and it talked about how to program your mind. And I was only 17 years old, and I was on my own. I'm sleeping in this little laundry room of a neighbor because my mom kicked my dad out. He went back east. Now I'm on my own. I had to figure out what the hell to do. And so I started programming my mind because I was so depressed. And the way I did it was I wrote all these incantations. No, not affirmations. You can go, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, and your brain goes, read between the lines, I'm not happy. Right? That's just not it, right? So that doesn't do it. It's an incantation is when you say it with such intensity, with such volume, with such emotion, that it generates this shift inside you. And if you do it with enough repetition, in fact, write this down. Anything you attach the words I am to, anything you attach the words I am to, that you do consistently enough, intensely enough, emotionally enough, you will become. Anything you attach the words I am to, that you speak consistently enough, intensely enough, emotionally enough, you will become. And so I pretty much hypnotized myself into being this guy. And I'll tell you the day that changed my life the most dramatically. I was on my own. The way I supported myself is I worked as a janitor. I'm still in high school. And so I didn't have a car. My mom kept my cars before I got in the next one. And I would take these buses to go to this place called San Marino, California. Some friends out there from California. I know you know where that is. And it was only about 15 miles from where I lived. But it was, 2 different buses and shifts, buses stopping constantly. So, it was about an hour and a half bus ride. And I would go there and I cleaned 2 banks. And I loved it because it wasn't hourly pay. I got paid for the results. So if I could do a great job in less time, wonderful. And I did it in the middle of the night. And I'd finish usually about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning. And then I'd catch the 2 o'clock bus. And I'd come on home. And then I'd sleep 3.5 hours and get up and go to school. It was pretty brutal. And the night that changed my life was an identity-changing life. I was being a victim still. My mom kicked me out of the house, and oh my God, and I miss my family, and my dad's no longer here, and all this crap, and feeling sorry for myself. And that night, I finished the banks and everything else, and did my normal thing. I left notes for people and stuff. I just want to make people happy. And I came out. I sat at the bus stop, and it's 2 o'clock, no bus. I got there, 10 to 2. 2 o'clock, no bus. 2:05, no bus. 2:15, 2:30, no bus. I'm standing there at this point going, how am I going to get home? And then all of a sudden a car drives by. It's 2:30, 2:40 in the morning. The guy rolls the window and goes, hey, man, didn't you see the news? There's a bus strike. A bus strike. And he drives off. It's the middle of the night. I'm 15, maybe 16 miles from home. I don't know if there's nobody I can call. And I got to get home and I get up and go to school. And so something inside of me snapped. And I just read this book about programming your mind and using incantations. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to run home. Now, I didn't run. I jogged because I'd never run even 4 miles or 3.5 miles. And I was a little bit overweight, And I just decided I'm going to do this. But as I ran, I kept saying as loud as I could. And I'm on the street, it's the middle of the night, so no one's there. And I'm going, every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger every day. I actually started out with, I'm going to show her. I'm going to show her. My mom, I was pissed, right? So I used anger at first. And then anger wears out. You don't want to be an angry person. And I was like, no, what I'm going to use this for greater good. Every day and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. Every day and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. And every day and every way I'm becoming more and more happy. Every day. And then I'd say it loud, happy. And I was literally yelling this at the top of my lungs as I'm doing this run. And I ran 14 miles. I didn't run 15. I stopped at a place called Azusa to stop and walk the last mile, or mile and a half, 2 miles to Glendora. But it was something I never would have dreamed I could have done. And it completely changed my identity. In fact, to this day, when something really intense happens, I know how to pull on that part of Tony Robbins. It's when I really started to find him. But I did it for hours. And then after that, I started creating more incantations because, I had no money. It's like, no one in my family had any money. It's like, okay, I'm going to create this incantation, God's wealth is circulating in my life. His wealth is flowing to me in avalanches of abundance. All my needs, desires, and goals are met instantaneously by infinite intelligence. For I'm one with God, and God is everything. And I would say it, and I would shout it, avalanches of abundance, for an hour as I went on a walk or a jog. And then I do it in my old Volkswagen. Once I got another Volkswagen, I'm driving along, and I go into a meeting, and I'm shouting as long as I possibly could. Then I was going to do my first little speeches. And I do this piece that I still do backstage to this day, right? I now direct my subconscious mind, right? I command my subconscious mind to direct me in helping as many people as possible today by giving me the strength, the emotion, the persuasion, the humor, the brevity, whatever it takes to show these people and get these people to change their life now. I would do that for hours. Now I do it 1 or 2 times, and then I walk out, and I'm ready. I don't have to do it. It's in my nervous system, but I do it. So I literally created this man that's before you now. He was me, but I brought out those parts by calling on them. Think about this. How do you make your dog your dog? How do you get a dog and make him your dog? Put it in the notes. I want to see, how would you make your dog your dog? I'm curious. How do you do it? There you go. You name him, and you train him or her to come when you call. Well, I named those parts of me, and I train them to come when I call. That's the identity that you want. And that's how you do it. You're not going to get it by just thinking it. You're going to do it by doing things that are consistent with your new identity. It's acting as if I was that person, what would I do? Then I'm going to do that. If I can't, then I must. And I'm going to push myself. And the rewards are immense. How many are up for this? How many are up for an update for your identity out there, ladies and gentlemen? All right, you've been sitting too long. Stand up for a minute now. Shake your body out. Shake your body out. Stand up. Shake it out. Make a sound that unleashes you. Make a sound that unleashes you. Make the sound you've been making you felt unstoppable, unshakable. Make that sound, ladies and gentlemen, nice and loud. Use your body. I'm burning up. Can nobody see? Some virtual high fives out there, ladies and gentlemen, or somebody nearby. Grab a seat. Holy cow. I'm sweating. Sorry for the sweat. The air went out in here. I'm down in the basement, and I'm wearing this sweater. Holy cow. But I'm here to deliver, so if you don't mind my sweat, we'll continue. Right? So now, let me show you when someone is having challenges. Sounds like maybe some air is coming in. When we're having challenges in our lives, we're all going to have challenges. But I look at this, what I call 5 to thrive. There's 5 things that I look at. If someone's not making progress, this is where I look immediately to help them to change. And so this is like a shortcut of all these things. Because in my life, what I've tried to do is compress decades into days. It's like, I have a core belief. You might want to write it down. And the belief is that complexity is the enemy of execution. Complexity is the enemy of execution. If you make something too complex, people aren't going to do it. If you're trying to build a business and you got a plan that's too complex, it doesn't get implemented. So it takes more time to make things simple. But over the years, I've tried to make it simpler and simpler and simpler. So I'd like you in your notes to just, if you would, draw a little triangle, and then in the middle, write the word state. Because what controls your life is your state. If you're a state of gratitude, you're going to behave totally differently than if you're a state of anger or frustration or loneliness. If you're in a place of excitement, you're going to do things very differently as well. So our state is controlled by 3 things and then eventually 2 more. But we're going to start with the core 3. You've learned some of these a little bit just even in the little bit of time we've had together. If I want to change how I feel and I'm feeling depressed, the fastest way to change my state if I was feeling depressed or angry or sad, any state I don't want to feel, I don't want to deny it, but I don't want to sit there and just hang out with it, right? You need to change it. And by the way, when should you change a lousy state? As quickly as you start feeling it. I'll tell you why. You don't want to wait till the monster is Godzilla taking your town. You want to kill the monster when it's a baby monster. How many understand what I'm saying here? Say aye. Say aye. So the first thing to change your state is a radical change in what we call your physiology. Your physiology. It's just a big word for anything that changes your physical body. Most people, when they don't like the way they feel, what do? When most people like the way they feel, they want to change how they feel. They're feeling frustrated. They're feeling angry. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling stressed. What do most people do? They have a drink, right? Soda pop, or they have a drink of alcohol, or they have a toke of something. Or they take prescription medication these days that they can get and self-prescribe themselves. Or they go shopping, that's a different thing, that's changing their focus, right? Or they go watch a movie, that's changing their focus. But anything you do that changes your body will change your state, obviously. That's why alcohol does what, that's why drugs do too, but they have side effects. But you can create a change in physiology just by a radical change in your movement, in your voice. Remember when I showed you yesterday what Harvard showed? Just standing a certain way will change your biochemistry, increase your testosterone, reduce your cortisol, which is the stress hormone, get you to go for it. Just 2 minutes of standing that way. Well, more dynamic movement in the use of your voice will do it even faster. So I want you to just think of it this way. Right now in your chair, just do me a favor for a second. Right now in your chair, create a sense of total excitement like a little kid. Do whatever you do with your body if you're totally excited in your chair. Listen, that's it. That's it. Come on now. Come on. Now double the excitement. Whatever you got to do, double it. All right, how many feel better right now? Make some noise if you feel better. All right? Now, notice what you did with your body. Did you rise up or down? Did you express more volume or less volume? Did you move slower or faster? Most of you, put in the notes, which one did you do? Did you rise up or down more when you're doing it, even if you're in your chair? Did you talk fast, or did you make sounds louder or quieter? Right? Did you clap? Were you more passive or more active? What'd you do with your face? Some people say, I'm happy. Well, when are you going to tell your face about it? Right? It might be a good thing to start with, right? Because you know what? You have 37 different muscles in your face. For most people, this is the largest area of unemployment in the country, right? Because they keep using the same expressions, so they keep feeling the same feelings every day. Try something right now. Look at somebody on the screen, even if you're in another country, whatever. Let's put other people on the screen and do what I call facial aerobics. As many different facial expressions as you can for 30 seconds. Go ahead, do it real quick. Just do it. Try them. Different facial expressions. Come on, get a little crazy. That's it. Come on, facial aerobics. There you go. All right, so that's just moving it around a little bit. Now, by the way, notice the pattern, what you did when you were in an excited place. Now do this. Put yourself in a state where you're bored and you're tired. How do you sit when you're bored and tired? And maybe you add pissed off to that. Bored, tired, just a little pissed off. And notice, where'd your body go? By the way, notice, I didn't have to tell you where to go to be bored and tired. You knew exactly where to go. But what'd you do? Did your body come up or down? Just notice. Is the breath more shallow or more full? Is there more movement than excitement or a lot less movement than excitement? Are you bending forward at all, which, by the way, compresses your diaphragm and usually gives you less oxygen versus if you're up, right? What's happened to your face? Is it going up or down? Are you touching your face like this, right? Now go from that, watch this, go from that to total excitement just for fun. Total excitement, breaking it, come on, come on. So now notice the difference in the pattern in your body. It's radically different, obviously. Think about this. People, let's put the camera up a little bit. People come up to me on the street all the time, and it's so funny because they'll say, hey, you're Tony Robbins. Oh my God, can I ask you a question? Whatever. And then they'll come up to me and they'll say something like this. They'll go, I don't know what it is, but I just feel down all the time. Why do you feel I feel so down all the time? Right? Like, well, look at your body, right? I'm so up. Why do you think I'm so up? Why do you think I'm having such a great time? See, the way you move your face, your breath, your body, your gestures, and of course your hydration, all radically affects your biochemistry, all radically affects your emotion. It changes, controls your whole life. So write down physiology first. If you want to change how you feel, make a radical change in your physiology. Not a little change. You know, like sometimes we do the fire walk or with the wood breaking and somebody's like, all right, I'm ready to do this. And then like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Mr. Robbins said if I'm scared, I should make this strong move. And watch this. This is what they'll do. They'll go, oh, shit, it didn't work. It didn't work. Right? No, it's like, yes, yes, yes. And your brain goes, holy shit, he means it. We're walking. Let's go. Right? Right? It changes you completely when you do a radical change versus a trying change, right? If you make a little change, you're going to get, with your body, you're going to get a little change in everything else. Now, did I just lose everybody? Because I lost the entire screen of everybody there. Am I still connected? Uh-oh. Can you guys still see me? Okay, I can't see anybody, so you can bring them back up. That'd be great. I'll just continue. So what I want you to understand is, physiology first. If you change your physiology, that's why if you have like a daily workout plan or just even 10 minutes you do something physical each day, just to get yourself going, you're going to feel different about your day, right? If you change the second part of the triad, that's changing what we call your focus. Your focus. Somebody need to do something here? You can go ahead and walk by me. It's okay. There goes the technical man. There we go. Okay, good. As long as you can see me, that's okay. I can at least read what you're seeing there, so thank you, so I know you're still with me. So the bottom line is, the second part of that triangle on the left there is focus, real quick. And we've already talked about this. If you change what you focus on, you change how you feel that fast. So if I said to you right now, I want you to think of something in your life that you're really, truly grateful for. I mentioned this earlier, but this time I want you to think of something. How many of you can think of something? Give me a thumbs up so since I can't see anyone yet. How many can think of something that or someone you're incredibly grateful for? Give me a thumbs up if you would. There we go. Awesome. So I want you to close your eyes and think about that person or that situation you're grateful for. And just as you're focusing on it, really be there. Like step in your body like you're there. Like don't focus from a distance. Like, you can remember being on a roller coaster, from a distance, or you can remember what it was like in the front seat when you're stepping over the edge. I want you to remember what you're grateful for like you're there. And breathe and feel that feeling. And then see if you can't increase it just a little bit. Like make that gratitude 20% more. What would you do with your face, or your body, or your breath, or your focus to make it feel even more grateful? Yeah, that's beautiful. Oh, I can see a few of you again. That's nice. Gorgeous. Raise your hand if you can feel that gratitude in your body right now. If you're really feeling it, raise your hand or give me a thumbs up in the chat. Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's try a different one now. I want you to think of a moment in your life, something, let's take an example of, think of a romantic moment. I want you to think of a sexy moment, a sensual moment, or a romantic moment in your life. You can just close your eyes and focus on that moment, but again, like you're there, not like you're remembering from a distance. Step in your body and breathe the way you were breathing then. See what you're seeing in that really romantic or sensual or sexy moment. Just feel it like you're there. As you focus on that moment, notice and feel how you breathe differently, don't you? Feel your face, your body. And what were you focusing on in that moment, that sensual moment? And were you making sounds? Were you getting religious? Oh God, or demanding, give me more. What were you doing in that moment? Okay, raise your hand if you can feel that romantic or sexy moment. Raise your hand if you can feel it. I want you to pick one more. Pick. If you ever have something happen that was so silly or so stupid, maybe you did something. I know when I've done something so silly or stupid, sometimes I crack myself up because it's just so dumb. Or someone else did something so silly or stupid where you laughed so hard you couldn't stop laughing. Who's ever had one of those things? You're laughing so hard, like if you're drinking something, it came out your nose while you're laughing, or you cough. Close your eyes and remember a time when you laughed out of control. Something so silly or stupid made you laugh out loud. And breathe the way you breathe when you laugh out loud. That's it, and feel it. That's it, feel it. Think of another moment that made you just laugh out loud. That you just couldn't stop laughing, laugh so hard. That's it. And breathe it and feel it. And notice how good it feels. How do you breathe when you laugh out loud? That's right. Beautiful. And raise your hand if you can feel this inner laughter right now, if you feel it inside you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do one more. I want you to think of something that if you wanted to be excited, you could be excited. Something in your life right now that if you want to be excited about it and you focused on it, you could be excited. So focus on something that could excite you if you wanted to be excited. That's it. And notice how you breathe when you start focusing on something that's exciting. And what's the look on your face when you start to get excited? Yeah. And then let that energy grow. Double the amount of excitement. What would you have to do to double it? With your focus? What if you add your physiology? Do something with your body as well and get more excited. That's it. Add your body and your focus together. That's it. That's it. That's it. It's gone again, guys. It's gone again, guys. Hey, guys, my team, it's gone again. It's gone again. Now triple the excitement. Whatever you gotta do, triple it. Oh, yes. Now, if that felt great, make a fist and say yes. Say yes. Say yes. Now, all we did was change your focus. And by the way, notice when we added physiology and focus, right, it increased it. If you use more of your face, if you use more actual laughter, if you start to move your body. So if you want to change how you feel, which is why we do everything, by the way. Like why people say, what do you want? I want $1 billion. What, you want 1 billion pieces of paper with pictures of dead people on it? Is that what you want? No, what do you want money for? Well, I want money for freedom. I want money for security. I want money so I can give things away. Well, those are feelings, aren't they? The feelings of freedom, the feelings of security. People can have a lot of money and still not be free and still not be secure. True? So think about that. Everything you do to change how you feel subconsciously or consciously. Either you're feeling good, you want to feel even better, or you're not feeling good and you want to change. That's what's behind all your subconscious decisions. So I want to just show you how fast you can change. Change your body, change your focus, and the third, change your language. Because words, write down, create meaning. Words create meaning. So certain words will change how you feel. If you said to me, Tony, listen, if I said to you, hey, bye, guys, during the next break, we have some delicious snacks here. It's very different than if I say we have some nutritious snacks here. Notice one gets clapping, one gets a little bit of laughter, right? If you said, Tony, I know you meet so many millions of people. I'm single. I can't find the right person. You know I'm a good person. Couldn't you introduce me to somebody? Couldn't you hook me up? And I say to you, well, I know this one man. I know this one woman. They're real nice. Right? Versus they're delicious, right? Or sexy or sensual or playful or anything else. How many follow what I'm talking about here? Say I. So the words that we use actually create emotion as well. When you attach a word to your experience, it becomes your experience. It changes your biochemistry. So for example, I remember my mom, she used to always feel humiliated about everything. And one day I figured it out. She's humiliated about everything because anything uncomfortable she calls humiliated. So imagine like life is sending you this experience, but you have this cookie cutter of words. And the word you use for every negative emotion is I'm humiliated, so it would increase it. Versus someone else might say, well, this is a little uncomfortable. Someone says to me, somebody stabbed me in the back. And I'll say, turn around. I don't see the scar. They go, you know what I mean? No, tell me what you mean. They go, well, they betrayed me. And I go, okay, well, tell me what they did. And eventually we get to, they told somebody something they told them not to tell someone. But that's very different than stabbed in the back. When you use stabbed in the back as language, your body contracts. How many understand what I'm saying here? If it makes sense, say I. So these three, and by the way, language is not just words. There are certain phrases you say. Remember yesterday I gave you that example of, I don't know where the salt is, I don't know where the salt is, I don't know where the salt is, and all of a sudden you can't find the salt, right? Because you keep telling yourself something, create a stacoma. So these three forces control your state. And you can use them at any moment, at any time, and they will work no matter what's going on in your life. They're a fact, they're science. However, whether you're going to use them or not, put a circle now around your triangle. And there's two factors that are going to determine whether you use it or not. And the first factor at the top I want you to write down is a compelling future. Across the top, a compelling future. Remember, I mentioned this yesterday. If you're telling yourself a story that nothing ever works, nothing ever will, I shouldn't be here, my family died, I should have died, I'm not enough, I can't provide for my kids. We as human beings go through these stages of negativity. It's part of being human. And especially we've had a bunch of negative experiences in a row, and almost everybody has. What would be crazy is if you really saw the people I work with who are the most successful on earth, and you got to see all the shit that they go through to be there. Because they make it look easy. But you know what? LeBron shoots 1,000 shots a day in practice to make it look so easy. Right? You look at somebody like Golden State Warriors and you see a guy chomping on his mouthpiece like he's Bugs Bunny and he makes shots from half court. Why? He practices thousands of times every single day for his entire life so that when he does that, it works. But you don't see that. Write this down. People get rewarded in public for what they practice in private consistently. We all get rewarded in public for what we practice in private consistently. And if you don't practice in private, you're not going to get there. So the language, the focus, the physiology is there, but we won't use it if we don't have a compelling future. If we don't have a story that says, even if today is tough, this is what I'm going to create. This is who I really am. This is where I'm really going. How many get how important it is to create a compelling future? Write this down. Jim Rohn taught me this phrase. He said, Tony, your goals affect you whatever they are. What does that mean, your goals affect? Well, if your goal is to make it through the day, you're going to have a shitty day. If your goal is to light up every person you meet in some simple way, a smile, a touch, you're going to have the most incredible day. If your goal is, to take care of yourself, you get a certain level of insight because you're part of life. Life supports life. But when all of a sudden, instantly overnight, I had 3 children as I adopted them because I married this woman, and then a child on the way, holy cow. Now I got a different level of insight. I'm not just taking care of me, I'm taking care of this family. When it's, I want to take care of my community, you get better insights. If you want to help humanity, I don't mean virtue signaling bullshit. I'm not what you write on your social media. I mean, you want to know who I am, you don't have to read your social media. You can see how my feet and my lips and my heart and my wallet and my movement has been for 45, 46 years. You know who the hell I am. You can't fake that because it's by actions. So not only do I know my identity of myself, but if you've done any homework on me, you know who the hell I am. Your own experience of me. So the compelling future, you've got to create something you're going for. And then the bottom is the most important base in the bottom of the circle, and that is you have to constantly reinforce an identity that reminds you that you're more than anything you're facing. You got to remember who I am is more than anything I'm facing, that what I've done is not who I am. I am in Earth School, I am growing, I'm expanding, I'm about to have another burst of explosion of growth. Now, this stuff happens by immersing yourself. It doesn't happen when you live your life, because when people live their life, they get caught up in all the urgencies of life. They do stuff that's urgent but not important. One of the reasons I do seminars 4 days long, or even here, just a couple hours a day with you, but the ideal is 12, 13 hours, is because your brain rewires over that time. When you do 12, 13 hours for 4 days in a row, you are completely rewired. We don't have to get you to try to remember this stuff. It's in your body. You're doing it. So you need to get your identity expanded in your body. And I told you the ways that I've done it. In the seminar, we do it constantly. But I did it every run, every walk, everything. Who I am, strengthening it, feeling it, shouting it out loud, embodying it until I became it. That's the base. So these 5 things, if you're not where you want to be, how you're feeling or what you're doing, start with your physiology. Go to your focus. But you're not going to do those unless you first have got something you're going for, and ideally something more than yourself. It's got to be for your family. It's got to be for something more than just you and you. If you're going to be successful in business and you only get in business to make money, those people never make money. I shouldn't say never. Rarely. The reason is because in building a business in the beginning, it's hard. It's like having a child. There's not a lot of rewards. There's only, this is my kid. That's the reward, right? It's a lot of work. But we don't think about the work. We focus on, wow, this is our baby girl, our baby boy, whatever. Same thing with your business. Oh, I love this. It's an expression of what you're giving to the world. But if it's just money, yeah, usually you're going to burn out and try something else, and be a dabbler and never master anything. So these are called the 5 to thrive. I want you to keep this in front of you and say, what could I improve on? Could you make a better pattern in your physiology? Could there be some new movements you do throughout the day that use a trigger, like once an hour, once every couple hours? Set yourself an alarm. Get up, move my body, crank it, turn some music on. What am I focusing on, right? What language do I need to get rid of? Like, I stopped using the word I'm depressed because I'm depressed as an identity. And so that's what I did back when I was 17, 18. And I said, I actually made a poster that says, only a loser is depressed, which is, by the way, not true. Lots of winners get depressed. We all can feel depressed. But in my brain, the one thing I wasn't was a loser. So when I did that, it's like, I knew that when I was depressed, I was so depressed, I was thinking, do I belong here in this world? Do I need to stick around? So I took it out of my vocabulary, and I can tell you honestly, I've been through so many ups and downs in my life in the last, 46 years. But I can tell you, I've never been depressed. I've been pissed off. I've been frustrated. I felt sad at times, some melancholy, but never depressed because I took it out of my vocabulary and it's not there. So remember, your words create meaning, and meaning creates biochemistry. How many find this could be really useful for you going forward here, ladies and gentlemen? All right. Now, would you stand up one more time? I have one last piece for you that I think you're going to find really useful. It's really important. Here we go. Wake your body up again. Let's do it. Oh, thank God it's getting cool in here. Body up, get some strong, playful physiology. Move like you're a little crazy. Wake it up. And make a sound while you're doing it. It feels playful, exciting, playful sound. high fives or fist bumps. If someone's beside you, do it in person. Awesome. Grab a seat. When you sit down, take a little sip of water if you can. Stay hydrated. If you start feeling tired, it's because you're dehydrated usually. That's right. I got a little dehydrated. I could use some water. Someone not looking out for me here would be helpful. Thank you. All right. Now in your chair, create more energy than when you were standing. Let's go. Thank you. Your dog's having a good time there, Ronald. All right. Whoa. Yes. All right. I hope you got some water. I got a little bit of air. I'm starting to dry out here. This is great. All right. So the last subject here that ties into identity is I want to talk to you about this concept of identity and how it affects your decisions in other areas, but also how it affects your career or your business. And when we talk about identity in those words, we'd use the word brand, wouldn't we? Right? We all need to develop a brand. If you develop a brand, you're more valuable than anything else. I'll give you an example. I've been doing what I'm doing here for this is my 46th year, and I've done it in 195 countries around the world. And I can go places now. I went places for the first time. I went to the Sahara Desert, and I got this giant group for me. I went to Dubai, and we had 10,000 people. I'd never been there before. How do they all show up? Because I built an identity of serving, and they got it through something. How many of you, before you came to this event, had already had some positive impression of me in some way through a video or a book or an audio or a friend told you about it? Raise your hand if you already had a positive frame of reference. Well, that makes it a lot easier for someone to build their business, right? Because you built a brand. People will get on the ground and reach behind a no-name brand to get a Coca-Cola, won't they? Right? The power of a brand is to give certainty. And so while you branded yourself with your identity, some of you, your old story, if you look at the story, the real core of the story is the limiting identity you had of yourself. And the thing that made me most happy in reading some of your news stories is I saw as you changed the story, there was a change in who you are, in the way you define yourself as more than enough, as a person who breaks through, as a person that finds the way. The more you can brand yourself in your own mind, the more powerful it's going to be. But I want to show it to you by showing it also how to affect your business. By the way, how many of you, show me in the chat box with a thumbs up if that's you, or live, raise your hand. How many of you own your own business? I'm curious. How many own your own business, work for yourself? Raise your hand, make some noise so I can see who's out there percentage-wise. Wow. Quite a few of you, a large percentage. Looks like usually in my seminars it's about 60, 70%. This one's about 40, 50, 60%, somewhere in that same range. So think of it this way. I'm going to give you an assignment. Take out a pen and paper if you got it, or your iPad or whatever you got there. Hopefully you've been taking notes. By the way, I hope you take notes, because if you just listen to me, you're going to hold on to about 10% of what I say a month from now. But if you listen and take notes, as I shared with you, the physical act of writing it down, even if you don't read it again, drives the grooves deeper in your brain. You're more likely to retain 40 to 50%. But if you listen, take notes, and then you yell back the answers, you use your body, you do the physical exercise, you do the challenge, you'll find you'll retain between 90 and 95% of the core things that really matter. So I don't want you wasting your time, so I really encourage you to do that. But in your notes right now, let's just write down just the first answer to this question. If I said to you, think of a soft drink company. The first soft drink company you think of, jot it down. And then I want you to think of, let's see, a big computer company. The first big computer company you think of, jot it down. Big computer company. And then I want you to think, if you would, think of a search engine, the first search engine you think of, and write it down. Okay? So what's a soft drink you think of? First one you think of? What's a big computer company you think of? What search engine you think of? All right, let's start out with a soft drink. All right, we're going to throw it up on the screen. How many of you thought of Coca-Cola? Raise your hand if you thought of Coca-Cola so I can see you. Make some noise if you thought of Coca-Cola. Put your thumbs up in the chat if you thought of Coca-Cola. Keep your hands up in the chat. Do it as well. I'm trying to get a good bench. It's about 90% of you, right? How many of you thought of Pepsi? Raise your hand. Pepsi. Okay? And so you see it's, maybe 10% Pepsi. One owns 90% of the market. In fact, they have a goal of all the liquids you drink, including water, that they want to own. Right? This company's been around a very long time. How powerful is it when somebody says, hey, can I have a Coke? The people at Pepsi hate that. They may not want a Coke. They want a cola, right? But they're used to calling it Coke, and the people hate that. They own the category. All right? How many of you, when I said computer company, thought of Apple computers, thought of Apple? Raise your hand if you thought of Apple. Make some noise if you thought of Apple. Put it on the screen, guys. Wake up. Wow. That's like 90% plus. Okay, how many thought of Dell? Dell computers, I'm curious. Dell. Hewlett-Packard. Okay, somewhere like 3, 4, 5%, right? So Apple owns the category. That doesn't mean you don't use that, but they are the first person people think of. All right? How about search engine? How many of you thought of Google? Raise your hand. Wow. Okay. How many thought of Yahoo? Okay, like 2 people, right? So, by the way, Yahoo used to be the source for searching, not Google. They were the dominant force, weren't they? The Google boys came together and came up with a way to make more money at it by having us compete to buy the ads. And they made so much money, they dominated the market. They created a whole different approach. How many of you use Bing? Bing, raise your hand if you use Bing. One man from Microsoft, one man, that's it. Okay, very good, Bing. Right? So notice the domination that comes when you become the brand people think of first. There are a lot of people that when they want to send something overnight, they go FedEx it. The people at UPS hate that shit. It's like, no, you mean overnight it. Don't say FedEx it, but a lot of people say FedEx it. They're not saying, they're just saying send it overnight. They were first in the mind and the heart. They locked it in. Some of you say, would you pass the Kleenex? The people at Scott Tissue hate that. It's not Kleenex, it's tissue, right? So I want you to think about what's the power that you would have in your business or your career, because some of you don't own a business, but we all have careers. If when people think of something that they need or want, they thought of you first. That's pretty amazing, right? That gives you a competitive advantage that is mind-blowing in business and life and anything else you want to do. And you might say, well, Tony, I don't have the money to become Coke or do something like that. You don't have to. All you got to do is find a way to find out who your marketplace is. If you work for someone else, it's your boss and your boss's boss. You build an identity or they don't even know who you are. When they're making decisions, as they've just done in the tech sector, they let go of 190,000 jobs in the last month. 190,000, 10,000 from Microsoft, 6,000 from Salesforce. Was it 7,500 or more now, I guess, from Twitter, right? Boom, 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 boom. When they're thinking about letting somebody go, your identity matters. If they're thinking about, hey, we need somebody for this upgraded position, your identity matters. Your income is more tied to your brand than almost anything else, whether you know it or not. So you want to build a brand. Number one, the brand within yourself, like we've talked about today, that makes you go for it, makes you be the person that's going to step up instead of step back, right? If your old habit is, I can't do it, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, you might not have the money and the time. I didn't either. I went and borrowed the freaking money, and I got the skills that I needed, because I was like, if I don't go to this seminar with Jim Rohn back in those days, then then I'm never going to change. I'm never going to pay my rent. So I took the money to pay my rent, and I went and I learned. And then what I learned changed my life. Otherwise, you'd be doing the same thing over and over again. So you got to build the brand in yourself that says, I'm going to go for it, or I'm going to take on the challenge, or I'm willing to take intelligent risks, right? So that's the number one. But in business, you need as well. So I want to give you 5 quick steps, because we're almost out of time here. I said I'd go about 2 hours and get real close real fast here. I want to give you 5 quick steps to building a unique identity or building a unique brand. We'll just go through it real fast, and then I got a fun assignment for you, and we'll wrap it up here. And we also have a little celebration. We have a few things to give some people who really delivered for the community here, some fun stuff here as well. So number one, you're never going to build a brand unless you understand the power of a brand, the true power of a brand or true power of identity. And I hope, I don't have to go any further. How many of you got today, identity controls everything, controls the way I think, the way I feel, what I do? How many got it? Make some noise if you got it. Awesome. Then step 2, once you know the power, now you know I got to invest time in this because it's the most powerful thing. It controls how I act, how I think, how I feel. It controls my relationships. By the way, when you first get in a relationship, you have an identity for your partner. Then if you get in a relationship and now you have different worlds and you have go to different states and you have to deal with different frustrating things and you might get frustrated with your partner. You know, when people's relationships break down, it's because they change the identity for their partner. They start putting stickies over them, but they don't see their partner anymore. They see the labels on their partner. Oh, they're selfish. They don't care about me. They just care about themselves. They're priors. They want me to do everything. They don't care. And once you do that enough times and you make the identity for your partner, your relationship is going to end. Even if you stay together physically, your relationship's going to end. You have to be so careful about the labels you attach to yourself or to your partner in a relationship because it shapes everything, okay? So then number 2, once you know how important this is, put it up on the screen. Number 2 for you here is you need to identify and articulate what is your identity, what is your competitive advantage, what is special about you. And I don't mean I'm so special and, you know, Jim, what was that guy on Saturday Night Live? I'm special, I'm unique, and people really like me. You know, I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about, let's say, in business. If I was in business, you'd say, why should I do business with you versus someone else? And if you can't tell me that, if you can't articulate that well, it's going to be hard for you to build an identity or a brand. So in the beginning, it's kind of clunky. But I'm going to ask you, we're going to take a minute, just literally a minute in a second here. I'm going to ask you to write out what is, well, in fact, let's make it even easier. Let's do it really fast. Try something with me. Type right now in the chat, type if you would, who are you? Just the first things that come through you, just a little thing, who are you? I'm a lover, I'm a creator, I'm a what? Who are you? Put it in there and I want to see it come across here. Let me see, okay? I'm a playful person, I'm a lover, I'm a challenger, I'm an achiever, I overcome. Yes, come on, give me more of them. I'm an inventor, I'm faith, I'm a kind person, I'm a queen, I'm an action-driven person, I'm filled with love, faith, and compassion, I'm a mom, my love can't be broken, I'm excitement, I am. By the way, it's different to say I feel excited than I am excitement, isn't it? That's an identity. I'm a master of life, I'm an inspiration, I'm a masculine, kind soul, I am woman, I am a leader, I'm a badass inventor, I'm a fountain of energy, I'm joy, I'm inspired, I'm inspiring, I'm honorable. Okay, those are all great. Now, by the way, I want you to notice how your identity is controlled by your state. Right now, we've been doing all this good stuff. You're in a great state, right? So all the identities you write are positive. So now, let's try something. How many of you ever gotten pissed at yourself, angry at yourself, frustrated with yourself? Who've been in that place? Come on, let me see a show of hands out there, right? What do you say, what do you call yourself when you're pissed off at yourself, when you're frustrated yourself, when you're in a low energy place, when it's not working? What's the identity you do then? Type it in so we'll see the difference. When you're in a lousy state, I'm an idiot, I'm a dummy, I'm a loser, right? I'm stupid, I'm filled with anger, I'm worthless, I'm stuck, I'm unmotivated, I'm disgusting, I'm an idiot, I'm a worthless piece of crap. These are really descriptive here, right? What's wrong with me? I'm not enough. I'm a procrastinator. I can't do it. I'm a dunce. Some of you got tired of writing this shit and you slowed down on me here. I'm an angry one. Okay, stop. We're done with that shit, right? But how many of you see how your story, now listen to me, your story is driven by your identity? How many see how your story and your identity is driven by your state right now? How many can see that? So put yourself, it won't be hard, put yourself in a great state. Crank it up. Oh, yes. All right, now type, who are you at your best? Who are you at your best? Who are you at your best? Type it in, who are you at best? Who are you at your best? Type it in there so I can see. Okay, I'm a powerful leader, I'm unstoppable, I'm light and love, I'm determined, I'm enough, I'm a magical goddess creator, I am growth, I'm a beacon of light, I am Kim, I'm an inspiring leader, I'm a servant of this planet. I'm a badass businessman. I'm a problem solver, right? Now notice the totally different tone. I'm divine goddess. I'm a vessel of love and growth. I'm unstoppable, amazing, life-changing, inspirational, awesome woman. I am love. I am leader. Give it up for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. That's a whole different world, isn't it? Whoa, yes. So your assignment, because I'm running out of time, part of your assignment, if you want to do it, is in the second step, write out all that who you really are, but in a great state. And then if you're in business, you got to answer this question. Why should I do business with you versus someone else? And if I had time, I'd call on somebody, but right now I don't want to go over any more than I'm already. So I want to wrap this up, and I got a couple more things for you that are important real fast. But if I call on somebody, inevitably they'll say, well, why should I do business with you? And they'll go, well, I give really good service. Well, everybody says that, right? So you got to say, what's unique about you? What's unique about how you're going to deal with me? What's unique about how you're going to interact with me? Why? Because the why is the most important thing, isn't it? How many would agree with me on this? Say I. Let's go to the third step of building identity here real quick. Third step here. You got to, once you write this down and refine it, it won't be perfect. Don't wait till you're perfect. Step 3 is you got to start to practice communicating it. So when you write it down, it's like writing a mission statement or something. You know, don't make it too long, just core, simple things. But you got to practice communicating. Say, you know, here's why you should do business with me. And then afterwards, say to the person, was that inspiring to you? Did that make you want to do business? Let them tell you the truth. And I'll go, honestly, no. Well, help me understand. What are you looking for? And you can refine what you're doing. So you got to practice. And then step 4, really important, throw up the screen there, you got to live it. You can't say, you know, I'm gonna be this incredible, you know, driving athlete, health nut, and then, you know, you're going to spend 4 weeks sitting in your chair hanging over your computer for 5 hours a day and not take a break and work out, right? You got to live it. Living it will define your brand, right? People are going to judge you by what you do long term, not just in a moment. What you do consistently. And you're going to judge yourself by what you do consistently, so live it. And then step 5 is you got to market it. You got to get out who you are. Because if you know who you are, no one else does. Now, that doesn't mean going around bragging and stuff. But if you do things, people are going to judge you by what you do. So I'll give you a real fast example. When I think I was 18 or 19 years old, I was just starting in my speaking career. And I spoke to a lot of real estate offices, a lot of stock brokerage offices, and I'd go in and I'd tell them about Jim Rohn. I'd do a mini seminar for them for about 45 minutes, and then I'd say, come hear the guy behind all this. And I'd get them to go to Jim Rohn's, 3.5, 4 hour seminar, and that was my whole goal. And so I met all kinds of people, and I enjoyed what I was doing. And one day I was in LA, Los Angeles, and I was in the San Fernando Valley at this place. And I saw this guy delivering these to the real estate office. He was picking up so he could deliver these little booklets that people had of all the houses for sale. Today, usually that's done online, but in those days, people have what they call a farm in real estate, an area that they kind of mine for business. And he was only 17, so it wasn't legal to be a realtor yet. He wanted to be a realtor. So he literally would take this on his bike and he would go deliver these on the farm for one of the realtors there. And he was just really enthusiastic. His name was Mike Glickman. And I started up a conversation with him. And I found out he really wanted to be a realtor more than anything else. He wasn't legal yet. He'd do it within a year. He was doing this so he could start to learn the business. And so he and I ended up bumping into each other on a regular basis, became friendly. And sure enough, at one point, when he was 18, he becomes a realtor. In his first year in business, I don't remember because it's been almost 40 years since I had this conversation, but I think he spent either 8 months or 9 months and didn't make one sale. And he was super enthusiastic and loved real estate. But the problem was he was so young and looked so young. People were like, I got to go with a more mature person. Someone's got more experience, right? And so he was really frustrated. And so he was stuck with this identity. I'm the kid. I don't have enough experience. And so I said to him, because I was already studying even for myself. I was a young person. I had the same thing. It's like, what you got to do is produce results for people. If you can produce some results for people where they see who you really are, they won't judge you by your age. And I said, that's what I've begun to do. When I can wipe out a phobia in an hour, they don't give a damn how old I am anymore, right? But I had to produce these challenges where I would challenge psychiatrists and psychologists. By the way, now I train them, but in those days, I was trying to prove myself, so it was a good strategy. And so the bottom line is I found myself in a position where I said to him, think of something you could do for your community. You don't have to build an identity the whole world knows you. You just need your farm, these 15 or 12 streets or whatever it is that he was trying to, make his farm, the area he would market to. And I said, think of something you could do for the community that's real and legitimate and that makes a difference. And do that. And do more than one thing if you can. And you'll build a reputation, and people will think of you differently than just this 18-year-old kid. And so we had this conversation. I think probably 4, 5, 6 months went by. I think he had to do some other jobs too just to stay alive. He was making no sales. And then one day he said to me, I think I got a possible solution about what I could do for my community. And I said, what is it? He goes, well, there's this trash strike that's happening in the San Fernando Valley. He worked in a place called Encino, California, which is upscale homes, right? Not super wealthy, but, relatively wealthy homes. And he goes, the trash strike's been going on for like 3 weeks. And if you drive through the community, there's trash everywhere because they haven't picked it up. And dogs have gotten into it. And there's some places where there's some rats that have gone there. And it's a super upscale community, and it smells, and it's horrible. And he said, and no one's doing anything. And every day I turn on the TV, and they say, day 27 of the trash strike. He says, so I thought, Tony, what if I went and I hired a private garbage company just come and take all the garbage off the streets that I work and just haul all the stuff away and then tell people or collect some money from them? I said, don't collect any money from them and don't tell them. I said, what? I said, just have the stuff hauled away. He goes, well, it's going to be pretty expensive. I don't remember the number. My memory may be off, but I think it was like $4,000, which for him in those days would be like $400,000. It was a pretty big bet. I said, you build your identity by who you are and what you do. They don't know who you are until they see what you do. And I said, it's the right thing to do. I said, I know it seems like a huge investment, but you'll make way more than that in one good commission. And so sure enough, he had the guts to go do it. I really honor him for doing it. So he hires this trash company. They come and take all the trash. Now imagine you live in this community, really upscale, wealthy community, and every day you come home and it smells and there's trash everywhere and dogs in the street and everything else, and you're so pissed off. And every day you turn on the TV, we're on day 28 of the trash strike, and you come home and there's no trash. And you think, oh my God, this is fantastic. Thank God the trash strike's over. Oh my God, my community's back. And you turn on the news that night and they go, day 31 of the trash strike continues with no room in sight, no solution in sight. And people are like, who stole my trash? Right? Where'd my trash go? And everyone want to know where their trash went. And so sure enough, and I said, don't tell anybody. It'll get out naturally. Sure enough, somebody figured out who it was and called them up on the phone and said, listen, you're the person who took this trash out, aren't you? And he goes, no, the company did it, but yeah, I paid for it. He goes, listen, I want to pay my percentage. And he was smart. He said, absolutely not. There's no way. I just did this for the community. Well, why the hell would you do that? Well, I work in this community. I'm a realtor in this community. I know that this is bothering everybody. It's hurting home sales. It's hurting everybody's quality of life. So I just thought it was the right thing to do. And the guy says to him, well, what can I do for you? He goes, I don't want your money. He goes, but if you ever want to sell your house, or if you know someone wants to sell or buy a house in this community, please think of me. You got my number now. Well, guess what? Boom. That person told a person told a person. The entire community is calling this guy up, thanking him, telling him, oh, you're unbelievable, Mike. Mike, in the next 3 years, got to the point where only one other home was sold in the entire community by any other realtor. He got them all. He made more than $1 million in commissions and went on to start his own real estate company, Mike Glickman. He's still in the business today. Give it up for him. So you don't need a $10 billion ad campaign. Just think, it's my boss. How do I make my boss have this? If it's your own company, you want to brand with your own employees. Like, who are you? What do you do for them? Like, step into it. Make the tough decisions that are in their benefit and the benefit of the company at the same time. You will build an identity. And by the way, well, maybe we'll talk about this another day. There's another way to do it, which is called jackpots, but I think I'll save that for there because I've gone over on my time. So here's what I want you to do. How many of you are utterly convinced identity and brand are the most important things for changing your life long term? Here, make some noise. Then here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to go online, and you're going to go hashtag identity challenge, hashtag identity challenge. I want you to answer 3 questions. What's your old identity? What was the old way you've described yourself when you're really not doing well, when you couldn't get through in a relationship, when you weren't getting through with your kids, when your body's not where you want to be? And what's your new identity going to now be? Here is my old identity, and here's what it made me feel and think. Here's my new identity. How's that? And then how are you going to strengthen that in 2023? How's it going to change your life with this new identity? But when I say how are you going to strengthen it, are you going to write out who you are and you're going to do these incantations, go on a walk, on a run? If you do that for 7, 8, 9, 10 days in a row, now most people won't do this. Most people, successful people do what the failures won't, right? Most people are not going to change their physiology. They're not going to take control of their focus, their language. They're not going to build a compelling future. They're not going to shout out loud when someone's looking and thinking you're crazy, walking down the street saying, I am, or every day and everywhere I'm getting stronger and stronger, happier. They're going to think you're nuts. And if you're worried about thinking you're nuts, you're already screwed. Do it in your house then. Do it in your backyard. But the point of the matter is, who cares? Once you become the person you're meant to be, the real you, the you at your best, everything will change. Your body will change, your relationships will change, your happiness will change. It'll change your whole life. So who's up for this challenge? Who's up for doing this here? And the way I do it, guys, I'd write it out, and then you can put it in front of you, and then pick up your camera on your phone and put it on a video form. You can put the written form too if you want, but there's a different ownership when it's like my old, and you can exaggerate. My old identity was, oh man, I'm not worth it, all this. You can also make fun of it if you want. Or this is what it was, and it made me feel this way, and it made my life this way, and my new identity is, and you shift in your new identity, and you don't have to do it perfectly. It's not about perfect. This is your first stage at it, and we're all doing it, so we're all being vulnerable, but I think you're going to find it'll lock things in for you. So has this been a valuable session for you so far today? Give it up for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in VIP, I'll see you in about 10 minutes. But first, little KK for our announcements and some fun prizes. Give it up for KK, everybody.
Thank you. Tony Robbins, everyone. Day 2 of the Unshakable Challenge. And give it up for every single one of you. You guys have been amazing. Absolutely off the charts. So really quick, don't go anywhere. VIPs, in about 10 minutes, you're going to begin your session with Tony. And everyone else, we have 3 incredible prizes to honor you for playing absolutely full out on day 1. So first things first, your challenge. I just want to reiterate and share with you some criteria that's really important. You have another chance to do your challenge tonight and share your hashtag #MyIdentity inside of the community Facebook group. The criteria is this, okay? 60 seconds. Try to keep it tight. If it's a little bit over than that, that's okay, but we've had some of you film 20-minute videos with so much passion and so much love, but Tony wants to watch all of your videos, so try to condense it just a smidge. That sounds good. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, great. And then additionally, the deadline is midnight Eastern time tonight. Some of you went to bed and you said, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Now is the new later. We want to push you to step up and share in the moment, take action. And even if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, like Tony said, go on video, make it happen, push yourself past your comfort zone. So you use hashtag identity challenge and you'll go on video, get energy in your body, utilize your physiology, share your old identity, new, how you can expand it and how it's going to change your life. If that sounds good, give me a big old wave VIP so I can see. Everyone else put yes in the chat box. Okay, prizes. This is my favorite part of this experience. We get to honor you for playing full out and contributing to the community. So 3 people today are going to be winning a prize curated by Tony, and he decided to give you a ticket to his flagship seminar. It's called Unleash the Power Within. Now, we've got some graduates in the audience. If you're a graduate of that seminar that Tony's been doing for the last 46 years, you can tell people, you know, what that experience has been like for you. But we have about 70% of you that have never been in this world before. So I could try to explain what this is, but we really want you to know the value of the gift. So 3 people are going to win a ticket. The next event is in 50 days, and you're going with Tony 4 days full out to rewire yourself head to toe and make this identity real. So, here's a quick sizzle video to really understand what Unleash the Power Within is all about. Check this out.
The coward dies 1,000 deaths. The courageous man or woman only once. Anybody can be in a good state when things are going your way. But if you can stay in a beautiful state when things don't go your way, then you're going to have a beautiful life.
Looking ahead, had an old crisp memory.
But I have this pattern that every time I go for more, I crumble.
Humans are very disempowering creatures if we don't catch our thoughts, if we don't catch our patterns, and if we don't catch our habits.
On the outside, it looked like I had it made. But on the inside, I was slowly dying.
What if problems are the greatest gifts of your life? What if they were the very things sitting there to get you to step to the next level where you're going to experience more of who you truly are? The story of our life is not the story we lived. The greatest story of life is the comeback. Life challenges us when we stop growing. Life gives us a challenge to make us grow. The challenge is here now.
You know, at the end of the day, what Tony did was got me out of my head and into my heart and just made me more comfortable who I am.
It's absolutely life-changing.
I feel like I have unleashed this inner version of me that I never knew was there.
I started making more money. I started working less.
It's been transformational.
Tell me, what's your most destructive or limiting belief?
I cannot be everything that I want to be because I am a girl.
What's the truth?
I can do anything.
Give her a hand for that, ladies and gentlemen. You want to change your life? You want to get out of suffering? Trade your expectations for appreciation, and your whole life will change in that moment. Because the minute you start to appreciate, suffering ends. Do this right. It really is effortless. Write down some limiting identity, limiting emotion, something that's getting your way this time to break through. You want to turn it into a great metaphor of breakthrough. Now make your move. Make your move. Say yes. Say yes. What if your worst day was actually your best day? What if the most painful day in your life could be converted into your best day? It can. But you have to change your focus. You have to find an empowering meaning, and you got to make a decision to take a different kind of action. What if you raised your standard for playfulness, for energy, for vitality? What if instead of just walking through life, you danced through it, you laughed through it, you celebrated through it? This is a new beginning for your life. This is taking your standard to a new level. This is embodying it at a whole new level. It's all happening for us, my friends, not to us. This is you unleashed. Go!
All right. Unleash the power within. Now you know, now you've seen it. Whoa, yes. It's almost impossible to explain an event that has so much history, not only that, but also transformation in words. So I hope that experience served you. Did you learn something by seeing that and watching that? So people around the world have been attending this and changing their lives for years, and now we have 3 winners who are going to experience the exact same thing. So here's what you need to know. All of you have a chance to be a winner. You just have to show up and play full out for life. Life is going to give to you when you give to life. So, winner number 1, her name is Jessica Ponder, and her old story is that she grew up with sexual abuse. She came out when she was young. She didn't get the love and support that she wanted, but she left her country. She met her wife, and she thought she was living her absolute dream life. And then the marriage recently dissolved. And with a bit of that heartbreak, she developed a new story with Tony yesterday that she's going to use this opportunity to address her childhood trauma. And day 3 of UPW, there's a process, Jessica, where you will eradicate any story from the past. So we are so excited to gift you this. Jessica Ponder, you are going to unleash the power within virtual. You are. Get in here. I'm going to give you a virtual hug. Oh. Yes. Congratulations, Jessica. We love these, such genuine reaction. I promise you 50 days from today, your life will change forever. I know from experience. We are so excited for you. Congratulations. All right. Winner number 2, and let's get some virtual drum rolls. You can put just like some periods in the chat box or something. Winner number 2, the old story of this beautiful person was that I cannot be successful because I'm not following the ways that I was raised or grown up. That's what his family tells him. And his new story is that he's already living his life, his dream, doing the work that he loves, following his dream. And everything doesn't have to be perfect to have a life that he feels called to. And this person's name is Giovi Singh. We are so excited for you, Giovi. Look at that smile. You're going to spend 4 full days, 50 freaking hours with Tony Robbins in 50 days. Congratulations, my friend. Congratulations. All right. And we've got a third winner. Tony does not mess around with prizes, by the way. So we give out some epic stuff, which is why you never want to miss a minute. Be here every second of every day. This third winner is from Canada, and her old story is that nobody ever listens to me. And this came from when she was a child, not trusting her voice. And her new story is that she does have a freaking story to share. She loves to help people. She knows it's her calling. And this person's name, let's get a virtual drum roll. Everybody on VIP, come on. Last winner is Amanda Lightfoot in her car driving to her dream life. Congratulations, Amanda. Congratulations. Whoa, yes. So all 3 winners, our team will reach out to you and get you situated, but you are going to unleash the power within virtual in 50 days from today, Tony's flagship seminar. You guys, what you are doing across these 5 days, honor yourself, celebrate yourself for being here, and this is like the tip of the iceberg. It's like not even an appetizer, it's like a little entree, and you can go so deep. So keep going, keep showing up every single day. Some final housekeeping, and then we'll break before VIP. Tomorrow starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. This is not our first rodeo. The 3rd day, you have to coach yourself to not only be here, but be here on time. Has anyone ever said they were gonna do something and didn't? By a show of hands. Radical honesty, self-integrity. Let's all hold each other accountable as a family and team to be here tomorrow. If you will be here, 2 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, say, I'm there in the chat box. We've got 2 amazing guests joining us, 2 incredible women, female billionaires, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, and also Jamie Kern-Lima, the founder of It Cosmetics. And the benefit of them is it's not that they're billionaires, but they had to go through a lot of stuff and have a lot of courage to get to the life that they have now, and they're going to share that with us. So be here tomorrow. VIPs will see you in 10 minutes. For the couple 100,000 of you that found us last night, you can go to tonysvip.com if you want to join us in 10 minutes for a private Q&A. We love you guys. We're excited about this journey. We're not even close to being done yet. Tomorrow's day 3. Prepare yourself and complete your freaking homework tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.